episode 46. I've not been in this chair for a while. Actually, I said the last episode, I have a few things going on, but we're back with a bang, actually, because we've got a wee bit of silverware in the house tonight. We've not often we get to see that. You're probably seeing my face just now for all of the 6 people that actually watch me and hundreds that actually listen. But we've got Alex Lauriston, chairman of Lossiemouth United. How you doing, pal? You all right?
Very good, aye. Very good, aye. A wee bit embarrassed to be sitting here. I don't know if many people want to listen to me.
No, I like... We chatted about this for a while ago. I made a wee joke about it on TikTok, and you're like, nobody want to listen to me. And I came straight back. I was like, nah, I got to get this done, mate. I got to get this done. I'd like to say my first chairman, but my second, because I've had Graham Tatters on the show Christmas time.
So it's all downhill.
No. Let's say we're building uphill because we've got a big guest coming up soon, a bigger guest than yourself, Alex. That's saying something, mate. But we'll tease that in a wee bit. You can probably kind of see it just now, but there's the league title trophy sitting in the house. You want to grab it just now and just the camera will pan onto you. Yeah.
So that's it there.
Nice and shiny with the Lossiemouth United colours on it. How long ago was it you actually got that? Just a couple of weeks ago?
A few weeks ago, yeah. Now, we're kind of in a few weeks ago. Must be about 4 weeks, I think. And we got it in the semi-final, the Elginshire. But unfortunately, New Elgin put us out. But didn't stop the party after the game, to be fair.
No.
It was great to see the guys pick it up. It was fantastic.
And talking of parties, I think you've got a wee sesh planned.
Yeah, so it's presentation night tomorrow night.
Yep.
So we've been a bit hectic the last probably week. We've been a bit hectic. We're getting stuff organised for that, but it's great.
I'll pop up back.
Aye, no bother.
Yeah, because I seen your TikTok, Chairman Life, and I seen was it 1,800 quid worth of booze or something like that?
Well, we just bought another 550 the day,
Jesus
so
Christ,
it's been a bit crazy. Aye, we do have the Lossiemouth United Legends are playing Birkhead Legends on Saturday out at Birkhead, so they're coming back to our social after that as well, our new social club.
Okay.
So they're having a soiree there tomorrow, Saturday night as well, so a wee bit extra booze for that, and I've got a couple of things coming up as well with our Legends Day and stuff. So, we've got the social club kind of up and running now. So, there's a fair amount of alcohol being consumed, shall we say?
More than anything, for when clubs win things, it's more than sometimes it doesn't come around very often, and them celebrations are good. Like I attest to you, I've had my own celebrations last few weeks,
the last couple
and you have had your own celebrations. Them parties are mental, and it's everyone's there's nobody on everyone's in it for the same reason. You have worked hard, and it's not like a night. It's a night that's built up over a year, and
there's a lot of emotion about it, and I think that's without sounding too soft, because there is a lot of effort goes into it. I mean, the last 3 years has been a phenomenal amount of effort from committee to the very highest point, all the way down to the very lowest point in the club, for the supporters, the community. I mean, there's so many people I should mention, and if I start, I'll probably miss somebody, and I really don't want to miss somebody.
No, not exactly how you feel, pal. Alex is actually our third Lossiemouth United, fourth Lossiemouth United representative. We had Frazy on initially.
Yeah, that was early days.
I was actually set up through your cell. I do appreciate that.
No bother at all.
That was very early days. That was episode 8, I think it was. And then we had Scott and Harvey in, I think about 20, episode 20 odd. And now your cell. So I've not done this for a while, and it feels good to get back to it. How good a football player is a kid?
Me, terrible. Aye. The only reason I ever played football anywhere was I got a left foot, and about 6 stone ago I used to be able to run. So I was pretty fast, and I had a left foot, so I kind of get picked.
A lot of places as a kid.
Yeah.
Aye.
I don't know how I managed it, but I'm right-handed, and I actually can play with both feet, but played badly with both feet, I'd like to point out.
That's mad. I'm right-footed and left-handed.
Oh, right, the opposite.
Yeah. So
it was always a strange one. There's probably the reason I did play football was because I did have a left foot, but at school, probably school player at best, never really played in any clubs, but back in the day, it was there wasn't as much football as there is today.
Aye.
there wasn't the access to it. We played in the park. We used to play 22 aside or whatever it may be at the time. We ran our own league where I grew up, and we just played games against each other. And it was skins and tops, and that's really what it was. And it was trees for goalposts. Actually, we used to have, you've probably seen the no ball game signs. So one of them used to be one of our posts.
That's the best.
Back in the day.
Love it.
Back in the day.
Absolutely
So it doubled up as a golf hole as well, I believe, when the Ryder Cup or anything was on, or whatever was on at the time. So I was never listen, I was never good enough to be anything special. When I joined the Air Force when I was about 18.
I was sporty as a kid though.
Yeah, I mean, I was a really good runner. I was good at running, good at sprinting.
Yep.
And I played a lot of football because I was a bit of a sprinter and a left footer. So I did play a lot of football, but we were always out playing it. It's a different era where you were never in anyway. You could play all sports.
No,
whether it was
it's like kids these days. If it's not in an academy setting, you wouldn't see kids out playing football much. Me as a kid, you as a kid, it's all you ever done because there wasn't any academy settings.
We were out playing football when the World Cup was on. We were out playing tennis when Wimbledon was on. Do you know what I mean? So you're out playing golf. I used to play golf. I played a lot of golf when I was younger with a 3-iron. The only club I had at the time. But so not really majorly sporty. And football, I did admire football. Watched a lot of football when I was younger and very in depth into the World Cup. I really liked the World Cup in Scotland. Big supporter of Scotland. I went to very young when I went to Hampden for the first time. I think we played Mexico. I think I've got the programme in the house somewhere. But I need to kind of dig it out. I'm pretty sure it was Mexico we played at Hampden when it was all standing. Long time ago. So I remember being on my dad's shoulders going to Hampden. That must have been 3 or 4 at the time, I think. I would imagine. I'm talking probably 78, 79 maybe. So I remember that. And Hampden was a kind of... I'm from Airdrie originally.
Yep.
So Airdrie's quite ingrained in football. And the old Brimfield, we used to play the school football cup at Brimfield. The finals would
That's
get played
pretty
at
cool,
Brimfield.
that, like, aye.
Oh, it was a really good setup.
Yeah.
It was fantastic. And it was great to be able to see your team get on the Brimfield Park. The old Brimfield, which is now Morrison's, I think, or something. But so football was really, I mean, football was big, although the money wasn't big like it is today, but football was a big thing, a big community thing, and but we didn't have the boys' clubs and stuff that we've got today. Yeah. So if you weren't really good, you weren't playing.
Aye, you had to stand.
And that's the way it was.
You had to stand.
And I was not really good, believe me.
You kind of touched on Scotland and things. Club.
Lossy United, no.
Lossy United.
You got away with that one, no.
As a young kid?
As a young kid, Airdrie and Rangers. Aye. Rangers Football Club. My uncle took me a lot of Rangers games when I was younger, my Uncle John. Really took that kind of lit the touch paper on my football, the team I wanted to support. Scotland was very much I enjoyed English football.
Aye.
When I was really young, probably you're talking Liverpool, when Liverpool were in the ascendancy. And then I kind of fell in love with Manchester United as I got a bit older. Yeah. With Alex Ferguson probably being there and
the Scotsman in it.
Yeah, aye. And it felt like they were an underdog way back in the day. So,
as mad as it sounds, they were, they're back to being an underdog again.
I think they're there again, aye. So, so that was kind of the Rangers, probably Manchester United or Rangers Liverpool when I was really young, and then kind of Rangers, Manchester United and Airdrie. Aye. It was your local team.
Brilliant. So from them, you have any kind of players you were looking up to as a Bairn? Anyone that stuck out?
Well, you could say Davy Cooper. I mean, Davy Cooper, a phenomenal player. 2-footed as well, really, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and just a raw talent.
Aye, like a phenomenal player.
The things, I've not had much Davy Cooper mentions, but like every time I've spoke to people, he's like, do things off the cuff, and it's not things you can train. No. It's a flair. Good flair players don't train flair, that just comes naturally. No, you know what I mean? It was just a kind of natural ability. There was a raw ability there. You could see he would do things that you wouldn't be able to train to do anyway. So Davy Cooper was probably a big one, but then as you got a bit older and then you start seeing like the Gascoignes coming up and all the English players when Rangers were
spending money they shouldn't have, probably.
We'll get to that tonight.
The players that they're bringing in were phenomenal to see. These amazing foreign players, which they were at the time. I mean, when I was at football back in the day, you were only allowed 3 foreign players in your club at one point.
Yeah.
So you weren't allowed to sing.
It's mad to think of that, isn't it?
Sign up these players.
Like, can you imagine if that was football? Wouldn't be the way it is these days if you still had that?
It wouldn't have developed the way it has in the international scene and stuff as well. I mean, most kids probably now will look up to your Messis, your Ronaldos, and whoever else your bigger players coming up just now. But I think it's probably ruined football a little bit.
I think so. I think maybe ruined if you look at the great teams like the Italians and the Germans and all that, and it's because they can go out and buy a young player for Turkey, for example, at 12, 13, 14 years old. And he can go on to play for Turkey, he can go on to play for Germany. But I think there's something quite unique. I don't remember it massively, but the 3 foreigner rule in Serie A, and you used to have the absolute superstars like AC Milan and things like it. It was like they'd have to get rid of one to bring in the next great one, and it's like, you know, it was Juventus. You know, all these teams always had I think they should go back to a system like that. I'm not saying 3, but 7, something like that. You know,
I think
certainly.
I don't know if I'm right or wrong, and I probably maybe will go against this when I'm going to say it, and then I'm going to change my mind. But I think it affects national football, international football. But then when you look at the Scotland squad that we've currently got, and the players that are coming through, and the players that are playing for Napoli, and I can't remember the last time we had 3 Scotland players playing in Italy. No, you know what I mean. I can't remember, and for me that's very exciting. To the point I'm like, we actually must be doing something right, and credit to the SFA or the clubs or whoever's developing these boys. Yeah, and then you also kind of you've also got a Premier League winner in the Scotland team as well at the same time. You know, so you've got, it's phenomenal, and it's great, and it's good to be. I mean, we go to Tenerife, and one of the boys is a crazy Inter fan, and I'm looking forward to going to see him. Aye. Because he'll not be happy that
was something else at the weekend. Like that was, I didn't expect that.
I think they had a terrible end to the season, didn't they? Atrocious end to the season, unfortunately. But I
just thought they would sit in like a normal Italian team and put 10 behind the ball and
just sit in. No, I don't know what happened there at all.
You can't do that. And fair play to him, Luis Enrique, because I've always kind of rated him as a coach, and he's kind of got his breakthrough there. He never, he'd won things at Barcelona and that, but we've never seen his likes because he'd followed after Pep. Anyone that falls after Pep is like following after Ferguson. You know,
it's exactly the same.
You're never going to do well.
No, it's the worst thing you could possibly do is follow one of these managers.
Yeah, I totally agree. Right, here's
I would just add to that though, if someone after Ferguson had won the treble, would have been absolutely delighted. So you know,
okay. First experience football up in the northeast of Scotland.
So a lot of people probably don't know, but I moved up to Buckie in 1988.
Okay.
When I was 15. My dad moved up here for work.
Right.
And I moved up with him, stayed up here for about a year. So Buckie Thistle was probably my first experience in North East football, till I realised they played in green and white hoops, and then I thought we better not bother with that. No, that was my first really experience in North East football.
Yeah.
Obviously, being from the Central Belt, I mean, it's very much a fishbowl down there, where Aberdeen's the closest thing you're going to see in North East football. Do you know what I mean? And then Inverness, probably not, or Ross County, probably at that time, back in that time when Inverness was split and not the joint team they were.
Yep.
They weren't really doing much, to be fair. It was Aberdeen with Alec Ferguson, and then so that was really probably the first thing when I was really young. But coming up here at 15, and the first kind of experience I had, Highland League football certainly anyway, was Buckie Thistle. Eye
opener. It's rough.
I spent a lot of time looking at the ball in the air, I suppose. It felt as if you were going Let's say that. Can I say that? Airdrie were a good team. But if I balance them off against Airdrie, they're probably a little bit lower than Airdrie, but it wasn't far off that kind of local football, if you
Standard,
like.
yeah.
It kind of felt a wee bit the same as Airdrie, which was kind of a good thing, and I used to kind of hang about at times and maybe watch them train or whatever else and that kind of stuff. But again, there's never been a great footballer at that time.
Aye.
You weren't involved in a lot of football round about.
Yeah. It's it's still blowing me away like that, Bucky. I did not expect
that.
No, didn't expect that.
A lot of people don't know that. Obviously, I've got my Bucky accent. I've lost my Bucky accent now.
Thank God for that.
So my dad, in his infinite wisdom, went to Bucky, so that's where we ended up. But I mean, Bucky Thistler obviously a very good setup.
Yeah.
Very good team winning the league, obviously, and then they seem to have kind of fell by the wayside a little bit now, but I see they're signing some more players and
some good players.
yeah, some good signings going on, so maybe they'll pick it up again.
I think, sorry to change the subject, but Finn Allen going one way and Jack McKeever going, I've never seen a deal working so well for two clubs.
No.
And it's strange.
Yeah.
Normally, when you've got a swap deal like that,
Somebody's worse off.
Somebody's worse off.
Yeah.
And I just didn't understand it because both teams seem to have
Benefited.
hit what they're needing. And it's great. I'm all for it. And
Finn Allen's doing extremely well there, and it's great to see.
Coach with Finn and brilliant coach at the same time. Just a good guy in general.
The Allens are, well, we've obviously got his little brother.
Yes, absolutely. And he keeps
which is great.
He's turned me down for this a few times, Finn.
Has he?
Aye, he has. Aye, no, he's not.
Surely you get the three of them in, can you know?
It's actually maybe is that a good idea?
I don't know. Well, Brody, Finn, and Harry. I don't know if that'd be such a good idea. I've been in the theatre companies with several times, so they're good lads. No, they're very good lads. Certainly, their mum and dad have done a great job. I keep saying they've done a great job. Dave's a rugby man.
He is.
So he's very disappointed, I think, at times. He's ended up with 3 footballers in the family, so I don't know what happened there.
3 really good footballers.
Very good footballers, yeah. I mean, Harry's a pleasure to be around. He's had these problems over the course of the last season, but some health issues and stuff. But what a Jamie, a boy. He was one we targeted for a long time.
Yeah.
We tried to get him, and he signed for Birkhead. We were very early stages at that point, so it was a kind of it was a difficult ask for him to come to us, and we understood that. He was very very nice about it. I spent a lot of time on the phone with him trying to kind of entice him over to the club. Scott spent a lot of time trying to entice him over to the club, but he's one of, I mean, I shouldn't single him out because there's a lot of really nice all your players are cracking characters.
Yeah.
But he's one that kind of so appreciative of what the club does and everything, and he's very much part of, it's so corny when you say it, but part of the Loss United family, because really that's what we are. But the Jack MacArthurs and Conor McKenzie, who's just in this year, you've got Harvey Kane, all of them. I'm sorry if I don't mention any of them, because honestly, the guys are just brilliant, absolutely fantastic. They do feel like kids. I mean, that's what it feels like. They feel like extended family. They really do.
And they buy in. You know, it's not just a case of playing for a club. I'm a bit like this with the guys with Bishop Mill. I'm like, you guys, you've got to buy in. This is not just turning up to play. You've got to buy into the whole thing.
No, I think we've been very lucky. I mean, pretty sure when I spoke to Scott earlier, and it says to him, many players have we signed since the inception again, and I think it's up at 90.
Yeah.
So it's been a phenomenal turnaround of players over a course of 3 seasons, which is ridiculous. But the people that were involved at the start mean as much as the people that are involved just now.
Absolutely.
They got us to where we are just now, and they've got to take a bit of pride in that. And they might not have been the best footballers we had at the time or whatever else, and we've kind of developed that going forward. But certainly every player, I don't think there's been one player that hasn't bought into the ethos of the club and what the club's about, which is great.
It's huge. It's absolutely
Makes
huge.
your life a hell of a lot easier, that's for sure.
It really does. It really does. So what kind of, I don't know if it's a golden question or what, but what would you consider your first involvement with Loss United? When was the first time in fact, I'll scale back that. When was the first time you heard of Loss United?
So Ian Campbell, I'm sure you're more than aware of, as the vice chairman at Lossie FC. I kind of flew under the radar a wee bit when I came into Lossie, so I've got a C licence. And I've done part of my introduction to my B.
Yeah.
So I've done quite a bit of football coaching, probably for the best part of 10, 15 years down in the Central Belt. A lot of youth stuff up to the adults, and done some girls coaching as well. So and autism football, done a bit of autism football coaching and stuff as well. So all a vast array. I tried to dip into as much as I could to learn as much as I possibly could. Anyway, long story short, met a lovely lady called Emma, who's my now wife, and I ended up in Lossiemouth. I flew under the radar a little bit. Used to go to Lossie games, go and watch a game, whatever else. Watched a bit of football, whatever else, and somebody, somewhere, I don't know who, told Ian that I had a C licence. So Ian had called me one day and said to me, "Have you got your C licence?" And I said, "Who's asking?" So he wanted to know because he was looking for a C licence coach for the under-18s, Lossie FC under-18s.
Aye.
So Dave Wilson and Alan Milton was there at the time. I don't know if you know those two.
Yeah.
They were there at the time coaching, and they were just looking for a help. And I went down and said, "Right, okay, I'll do your 2 coaching sessions a week, but I'm not going to games. They'll go to Ullapool and Wick and all sorts of carry on. I says, "I'm happy to do that, but I've got a young girl, I've got a young child. I can't be going away at weekends and whatever else." And before I knew it, I had a coaching jacket and I was driving a minibus to Ullapool with 18, 17-year-olds in the back. I should have known it happened to me down the road as well. We're going to take this session and all of a sudden you're coaching. But I fell in the trap again. But it is a bit of a bug. So the under-18s, long story short, the under-18s were developing up. Christoph Grick was one of them. Callum Milton was another one. Liam Petrie was another one. You've got Ross and Lowe, Callum Lowe as well. There was a few players there that I thought could have developed, but the under-20s league was gone. So
I remember that, yeah.
Yeah, you remember they scrapped the under-20s league. So they scrapped the under-20s league, and I kind of voiced my opinion that what's happening with these players. And it was, no, that's we've nowhere for them to go. They stopped playing football. If they're not good enough to get into Highland League, which these players needed more development to get to that stage, that's it. Football's finished for them. And I thought, well, hold on a minute, that can't happen. So I says, well, why is there no under-20 squad? So we kind of explored the situation. And Ian, I don't know whether he was joking or being serious, said, "Why don't you start Lossie United again?" So that was kind of the conversation. I didn't know who Lossie United was. I had no idea. Didn't know how much it was involved in people's hearts in Lossiemouth, how much people loved the club when it was about. The history of the club, knew absolutely nothing. And I probably know a little bit just now, but I love speaking to people that tell me more about it because there's so much history involved in it. Anyway, why don't you start Lossie United again? So push came to shove, we ended up having talks and whatever else, and myself and Ryan Edwards basically kicked it off and had a bash again. Started to build a committee, and I was at a cup final at Forest. Can't remember who Forest Thistle were playing. They were in a cup final game anyway, and Scott was standing on the sidelines. So Scott had been keeping well. As you know, he's 26 and he doesn't play football anymore because his health. Yeah. So he had to give up football early. So he was standing on the sidelines, and Ian had said to me, "Ask Scott about Lossie United," because Scott used to play with Lossie United.
Yeah, he did. Aye,
Scott, Ali B, Ryan Higgins, all the boys used to play. Anyway, we got talking. Why don't you come in about it? I had a chat with Frazee. We got Frazee on board. I knew Frazee anyway for drinking in the steamboat. My wife ran the steamboat with her mum, so I knew Frazee quite well. And we started bringing people in, and so, right, okay. And I remember we sat and had a chat with Frazee, and Frazee, John Todd, I don't know if you know John Todd, he was on the old committee. Yep. Aye, so John's very, very good. And Ryan, and we all sat and we had a meeting, and we were trying to find a manager. and we couldn't find a manager really. And I said to Fraser, well, if we don't find a manager by the end of next week, I'm taking it, and I'll take the team. At which point he stood up and went, no, you're no, I'll take the team. And I went, perfect. Brilliant. So that was the case. He was kind of pushed in. He was offshore at the time.
Yeah.
And Scott came on board. We did do a lot of interviews and stuff. Kev came on board, which Kev Stewart's fantastic as well. Scott and Kev are a great team. I'll go into the management in a minute. But so we got them on board and it kicked off. And we started training down on the grass, dragging goals all over the place and
as you do,
playing like a Sunday league football team, and that's where it kicked off. So the first real talk about it was Ian Campbell that had it's his fault. I'm holding the blame fully at his doorstep. So he was the one really. He was the one that got me involved in football again up here. I had a maybe 4-year break or something, 3 or 4 year break.
Yeah. At
that point, I was enjoying my Saturdays before that was.
Until it all kicked off again, Alex.
Yeah, so that was it really. Yeah.
Okay, that's a juicy answer, that one. It was a good answer, like
a bit longer than you expected, I would imagine.
It was packed, like it was good. Right, I've not brought back this question for a good few episodes, and I'm going to keep going with it. Favourite football player ever?
So I'm going to look at my phone here because I had written this down because there's so many in my head. It's horrendous, absolutely horrendous. But my favourite football player is probably Maradona. And that's probably down to the fact that 1986, I would have been 12 at the time. And you've got the Mexico World Cup. Well, the hand of God, which is...
My dad was there.
Was he?
Yeah, he was there.
As an England fan, like...
No, he was at the World Cup, like...
So, we done all right there, actually. We done okay in the Mexico 86 Cup. But that was my first kind of real taste at international football. 78 was probably too early for me. I was only 4. 82, where was the World Cup in 82 now?
Spain.
Aye, 82
he was there
Spain.
as well.
I do remember. I remember bits of Spain. We went to Spain not long after that, so I remember bits of it, but the Mexico 86 World Cup for me was massive.
Aye.
And it's the first time I've seen a footballer with the skill that Maradona has.
It's still to this day, like, when the only person you can compare him to is Messi, who's considered the best football player of all time, and it's only people of a certain generation that'll do that. Unique, you know. We had a mention of a few episodes ago about, I think he made his managerial debut against Scotland, and he also made his international debut against Scotland.
That's right, aye.
But like, I think this is like a throwback night, Ryan. We used to go on about this in the early episodes. He was a bit of a maverick, and like, you don't get that in football anymore. The maverick has gone from the modern game.
He took football. I don't know. He seemed to have taken it for where it was, which was pretty shirt and tie and behave yourself, and there was never any characters in football. I didn't feel Pele maybe.
Yeah.
But and then all of a sudden this guy comes on and he's breaking all the barriers and he doesn't really care. And that was the I mean, running about with your shoes untied, playing keepy-uppies and passing players as if they weren't even there.
Aye.
I mean, people, the English I'm sure will go on about the hand of God and shouldn't have been a goal, shouldn't have been a goal. Watch the build up to that goal.
Yeah.
The build up to that goal is for, I think he took on 3 players in the centre of the park, pirouetted through them all, and then laid this pass off, which was unbelievable, and then got into a position where he could challenge a keeper.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, keeper done very well to go out, but
he's challenging,
well enough. He should have held it.
He's challenging Shilton, who's well over 6 foot, and he's 5'7".
Aye.
You know,
Well, 5'8" with a hand
5'8".
probably.
Aye, exactly. There you go. There you go.
But for me, Maradona, I don't think. I know people will say Messi now, but that's probably your generation.
Yeah, and I don't think Messi's a maverick. You know, Mavericks do their own thing. I think if you're talking about Mavericks in modern football, probably Zlatan, maybe your last Maverick.
Aye. You're probably. I mean, you've got your Ronaldo, who's completely commercialised, in my opinion, and you've got Messi, who doesn't seem to be very commercialised at all. A little bit,
and I think he's just a bit alien, Messi, because there's nobody like him, and
he's a bit withdrawn. He's more of a withdrawn character than he is. Where Ronaldo's more commercialised, Whereas Maradona just done what the hell he wanted to do. He was very much a...
Ronaldo's a bit like if you asked AI to make a football player.
That's right.
It's like, right, this is what they'd come up with, this polished guy.
I've heard a lot of people say he's manufactured, and I think that's a bit unfair on the player, because I don't think he is manufactured. I think he's manufactured himself into
I agree
the
with
best
that.
footballer, or one of the best footballers. Whereas Messi has got a bit more raw talent, like you were saying about Maradona. I think that's where the similarities come in, possibly the height. Well, he's related to him, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. I think I heard a quote recently, and it was about skill isn't how much a player does a skill; it's about a player's about a player's ability to fall in love with the football.
Yeah.
And it's totally true. It's not how much you train; it's how much you love having that ball at your feet and moving it about and things. And that's
you can see the players that love to play the game, and you can see the players that play the game for the money they make. There's
absolutely
two different things.
And it's mad that a lot of players will get into the game these days to make money, rather than the love of the game.
Yeah,
but you're only going to get so far without the love of the game.
Most sports are like that now, aren't they? Let's be honest.
Commercialisation is just. When there's so many millions involved, who can blame people?
Exactly, I'm only jealous that I can do it myself.
Right. Okay. Here's another loaded question for you. So, I suppose I can start to understand what you're going through, because I'm going through my own lows and highs this season. Life as a chairman, fuck me, it's hard, isn't it? I think. I got asked, somebody had to go at me a while ago because I was having a go at people. I wasn't having a go at people because I'm not that kind of guy, but I was just trying to make sure everything was getting done. And it's like, people are like, but what are you doing? I says, I'm making sure everyone else is doing their fucking jobs. It might not seem like I'm actually doing anything, but if I'm not on everyone's necks, nothing's getting done,
Yeah. I mean, I consider myself extremely blessed. I've been very lucky. I don't know how. And I do put it down to luck. A lot of people put it down to hard work. A lot of people put it down to not taking no for an answer, which I'm pretty good at not taking no for an answer, to be honest with you. But I have the most fantastic people around about me. And I mean that from my personal life, from my wife and Sadie, to all the people involved with football and all the people involved in my personal life. I'm very, very lucky.
Yeah.
People bought into what we believed at the time when we were starting Loss United, and people buy into us every single time we speak. Somebody said to me, and I don't know if that's true or not, but it's infectious how I speak about football or about the club. It's passion, probably, because I'm very passionate about what I believe. If you're going to do something, you do it 100%, or you don't do it at all.
I agree.
And that can be very difficult. Certainly there's been so many challenges through this 3 years. It feels like a lifetime. See this beard here? It never used to be grey, by the way. It used to be dark.
Starting to get a wee bit of myself in here.
It's I've never had a group of people that have benefited my life so much as Loss United do, and as my personal life. It's very difficult to explain, but there's just corny as well to say, but there is a bit of magic about the club.
Aye.
And there is that bit of belief about the club, and there is that bit of, it doesn't matter what the hurdles are, we'll all face the hurdles together, and we'll all go over them. And if we don't go over them, we'll go over them the next time. I'm very much one of, I don't take no for an answer, and if somebody tells me why I can't do, or if somebody tells me I can't do something, it's not okay, it's why can I not do it, and how do I get to do it?
Yeah.
And it's been like that, the journey's been like that for the last 3 years, and that's from the whole squad and the whole team and the whole management and the whole committee. Everybody does the same. Sometimes there is times where I've been told behave kind of thing. We're not doing that, and I think in the whole time my committee's possibly, when I say went against me, I don't mean went against me, but they've decided that the decision that I was possibly going to make is the right decision to make.
Yeah.
And in hindsight, they were probably correct. But at the time, you're driving forward, you're banging your head against the wall and you're going for it. So it's really, I'm blessed. I'm so blessed. I can't tell you the emotion that I really love the people I'm involved with, and that's I can't. That's me not overestimating it. I'm underestimating it, if I'm honest. The people involved with the club. I mean, the committee. There was one time I take a lot on board, and I can be quite controlling at times about what we're doing and make sure that everything's like the same as you.
Yeah.
You want everything done right, and you want everything done like this, and this is how you need it done, and this is whatever else. But sometimes when you take a step back and you say, well, if the person's doing it in that direction, you'll still get to the same conclusion. Just because it's not get done the way you think it's going to get done is possibly not the way to go. And there was a couple of times where I had to say to my committee, listen, I can't keep doing what I'm doing. They didn't realise that the point there was too much. I mean, they're probably season 2, probably I would say the end of season 2, kind of round about that time, maybe the start of season 3, where I was overwhelmed with the amount of stuff that was going on with the club, because we are doing a lot with the club all the time, with the social club getting done, improvements to the park getting done. Our club costs an absolute fortune to run. I mean, an eye-watering amount of money to run. So we're out there getting sponsorships and whatever else, and I went to a committee and I said, listen, I'm drowning. Somebody needs to pick up the mantle on some of this. And they all turned around and went, what's wrong? And you're turning around and saying to them, this and this. And every one of them, a man or women, stood up and took a mantle for something, and they just took the pressure right off me. Yeah. And that's just, as you say, me probably leaning too much heavily on myself. And not allowing others, and now the more and more that I allow others to do it, and if I give you a bit of advice, let people run with what they think they want to run with, or what they feel passionate about.
Yeah.
And it might not be the place you want to go, but sometimes it's a cracking place when you get there.
You'd be surprised at the outcomes.
Yeah. It's people have got ideas, and people, if you can get people passionate about your club, which I believe we have, the sky is the limit. I mean, the people that are involved at our club are phenomenal.
Yeah.
I mean, they're literally, and I'm talking about, as I say, I keep saying from the top to the bottom, but also our sponsors. Our sponsors are unbelievable. Not just for financial gain, but for how much they support the club, our social media, our events that we have, everything. I mean, we've hardly got a sponsor outside Lossiemouth.
Yeah.
I think we've got 2 or 3 sponsors that are outside Lossiemouth.
And I'll point back to this. Without sponsorships, you don't have a football club. There's no football happens.
Not at all.
Nothing happens.
Year 1, our club cost us £40,000 to run. Yeah. £40,000. And that's a junior club in the northeast of Scotland on a council park.
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about here. When you be realistic about it, it's no wonder the Highland League clubs struggle. It's no wonder the Inverness are struggling. Do you know what I mean? Elgin City, I mean, flying. Absolutely magic to see Elgin City doing so well, and hopefully getting more and more crowds through the door. Yeah. And I'm sure Hale will sort that out and get more crowds through the door. But
it's rare.
Football clubs are not just about a Saturday afternoon. and the more support you can get, I mean, as I say, the cost of our club is phenomenal. Yeah. But that's because of the standards we've possibly set as well, because the boys get buses to every single away game, apart from the locals. Yeah. Which cost the club an absolute arm. But I do believe that's benefited the playing team, the playing staff and the coaches. And that's got us this lovely trophy on the table. That got us there. All these little things. Good kit, good training facilities, park condition. Will and Ryan Cruikshank. So Will Mackay, who was our groundsman, and Ryan Cruikshank assists him. Their park is absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah,
I mean,
looks great.
Oh, it's not only that. I mean, it's probably one of the best parks in Murray to play, certainly at junior level. Anyway, I would say.
I'll give Will a shout out because I was on my postie round a couple of weeks ago, and he works for the council, and I think he does parks and
he does. He's just started with them. Yeah,
and he came over and he was like, "You're the boy for the podcast." This is this is when you get me on your podcast. It's the best groundsman in Murray. I'm like, I love it, mate. I love it.
He loves a bit of self-promotion, Will. No, Will's great. Will's fantastic. He's very precise about what he wants done with the park, and you're not allowed to differ from that. Like,
No, you don't mess with it.
No, you don't. I sometimes I'll text them and say, "I'm maybe down to cut the park. Don't touch the park." He'll let you cut round the spectators area, but that's as far as you get. No, but I mean, that has been fantastic as well.
Aye.
And it's allowed Scott and Kev and TR, Scott the Bar, Justine to have the best possible playing on the park. I mean, the guys, the football they play is really good when they do play it. Sometimes we have an off day, but most of the time the guys play extremely good football, and they try and keep the ball on the ground, and they try and get that ball moving a bit quicker, and the surface makes all the difference to that for us. Aye.
Yeah. And they've done well considering they had a few struggles with that surface over the last couple of years with drainage, and the weather was not your friend for a long time, Alex.
No, we had a hell of a lot of rain. I think I'm pretty sure Murray Greenkeepers put a post on Facebook, and the rainfall they'd had in the month of May was equivalent to the rainfall for 6 months or something like that in Murray, which was phenomenal. Thankfully, thanks to Murray Council, we've kind of agreed a deal with Murray Council. Murray Council are assisting. We are paying a lot of money towards it, but we're doing a joint venture with drainage in the park. So actual drainage, the proper drainage is going into the park.
Okay.
We have dug a trench in the park in the corner, as people will see, to prove that was the issue and get the games on. So we never had a game called off this season at all.
That's brilliant.
Which was great, aye. So that's testament to the guy, Scott. Scott's an architect as well, so he does a bit of groundworks and stuff as well. So Scott, we're very blessed in the fact that he knows people that deal with groundworks and stuff. And we got a specialist down to have a look at it, and they told us exactly what was wrong and how to solve the issue. And Murray Council have been great, although they don't have a lot of money, as everybody knows. I can't fault them. They've been fantastic at helping us. We identified the issue, We identified the issue, and we came up with a plan for us. And again, local tradesmen and everything else have helped us get the equipment and everything we need to start doing that work. And the work will start over the next couple of days, where there'll be soakaways dug out to the soakaway at the back of the school to ensure that doesn't happen to the park again. But that it doesn't only benefit the park. We're also putting some drainage in so that the skate park. I don't know if you've seen that the skate park's been Ski Park initiative at the Coolerbank playing fields. It needs drainage in it as well. So it's helping other people in the community as well, and other clubs, other community groups, which is great. But hopefully that will make a difference. Might make the park too dry. Might be not very happy at times.
At least you want it doing there, mate. At least you want it doing. Less are two evils, isn't it?
We definitely don't need games cancelled. That's for sure.
So I'm just going to ask you to name me one moment from each. Best moment as chairman so far.
See, a lot of people. For me, it's the Auchinleck Talbot game. Scott, the Auchinleck Talbot game is crazy. I mean, game aside, the preparation of what we've done for the players, I was lucky. I got down to go and watch Scotland-Georgia. Scotland-Georgia were playing in the Wednesday night. Remember was it Scotland-Georgia game? It couldn't have been good. It was raining. I can't remember. Anyway, Scotland were playing that night, possibly Norway. Scotland were playing in the Wednesday night, so I travelled down the Wednesday, so I got an extra day's holiday with that. So I went down the Wednesday night, booked in at the hotel that we were staying at, and made sure all the rooms were everything was organised, everything was going to be fine. Then I went to the Scotland game, come back. It must have been the Thursday night Scotland were playing. And the boys come down on the Friday. That's what it was. So it was. We stayed in a hotel next to a beefeater restaurant, and so the boys arrived, dished out all the keys. They went and put their stuff in their room. I said, right, we'll meet you over at the pub. Right, okay. It was like 100 yards away, and every one of them walked in at the pub and bought a fresh orange or a lemonade And I said to Scott, just let the boys have a pint. I told them to have a pint, and they've all chose to drink soft drinks. Thought fair play. So they got to their rooms. The morning they got up, we all went into the one room to have our breakfast and everything, and we're sitting there, and Scott said to the boys, you know, this is Alex World Cup final today. And I said, no, it's not that important, but deep down it was that important. Growing up in Central Belt and following a lot of junior football when I was down there when I was a bit older, Auchinleck were the team to beat.
Yeah.
I mean, they were okay. Some people say they're not the team they used to be. Believe me, they're still a very good
They're
team.
the name that's synonymous with junior football in Scotland.
Oh, 100%. I think they won it 14 times, is it?
Unbelievable.
Scottish Junior Cup 14 times.
And it was always their games that were on the telly when I was young.
All the time.
Always their
Yep.
games that were on the telly.
They were always on the telly, and I've been down to Auchinleck a few times to watch some of the Ayrshire derbies and whatever else.
Great games.
Oh, unbelievable. We were down there one game with one of my mates, one of my best mates, John Snedden, he still stays there. John loves coming up here. He's a coach with Cumbernauld United Juniors.
Yep.
So I remember we were at one game, him, myself and Ralph, we used to go to just pick different junior games on a Saturday. He said, right, we're going, we'll go to Shelson, we'll go to Cumnock, we'll go to wherever it may be, Grant, we'll go wherever. So we went to Auchinleck this day, and we were sitting in the stand. I don't know if have you been to Auchinleck?
No, never.
So they've got quite a robust stand, and then across from the stand and next to the dugouts is the pie shop. The pie shop's probably not big enough for the size of the ground, believe me. It's a porter cabin, and there's one lady, I think, serving pies. Anyway, which aren't as good as our sponsors' pies. McLaren's, by the way. I'd like to point out. Better get that in there. Brent will be happy with that. Might get some free dinners. So John had went over and says, what you want? I'll have a bovril. I always like having a bovril and a pie wherever I go, right?
Aye.
Bovril and a pie, right? I'll have a cup of tea. And he left, and I can't remember who Auchinleck were playing. One of the Ayrshire teams anyway. And he left to go and get the pies when the half-time whistle went. And he come back 30 minutes into the second half. And he'd missed 3 goals or something like that. So it was magic. But anyway, my memory at Auchinleck was very much a phenomenal team.
Aye.
And for me, when we get drew against Auchinleck, I was like a kid at Christmas.
Yeah.
Literally, oh my God, we're going to go and play Auchinleck. Could have been in a later round, hopefully, but it wasn't meant to be. And I don't think some of our players understood, I don't know if they still do, to be fair, understood the gravity of the game.
Yeah.
So we did try to be as professional as possible with them. We tried to take them down there and try to treat them like professional footballers, and they reacted very much to that, I think. And I don't think a player left an ounce on that pitch that day. I think they left everything on there, and I don't think one of them came back with one bit of energy. I mean, the weather was phenomenal.
Aye.
It was like 23, 24, 25 degrees maybe. We asked for a water break. I don't know if Scott told you this, did he?
Yeah, he did.
Aye, and they refused. So he was kind of pleased about winning, but I mean, I was so pleased for Jack MacArthur. What a lad he is as well. I never mentioned him earlier.
I've had his old man on.
Ian's brilliant as well. Like, Ian is actually the one that said to me, "You're infectious, how much you love this club." I speak with Ian a lot at the games, but Jack is just an absolute gem. I mean, very proud of Jack. He was out of favour at Lossie. Wasn't playing much football, was struggling, and came, and he just seems to have fell in love with football again, and he just loves the club, and he loves to be around. And thank you to Lossie for giving us such a player that's made such an impact.
It's brilliant that is also, like, he started out as a midfielder. I remember him at Lossie as a midfielder, and he's now a right back. His old man was a right back, and there's something I like that. It's something a bit special about that for me.
His old man was a wee bit tougher than him, was he?
His old man was a hell of a player for like.
I think he played with Freezy, did he?
He did, yeah. And one of the few players from this area to go on and play. He played under Pelly at Cali and things like that.
Yeah.
Went through the divisions with Cali, so Ian got to high level himself, and one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet as well.
He's fantastic, and it's great to see the kind of people round about the club. Jack, for me, is phenomenal. I mean, he's one of our best players without a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah,
and every week you can put a pin on him and say he's going to be fine this week. He's going to be fine this week. A lot of good players played against him, and he's kept a lot of them in his back pocket. He's just phenomenal. But for him to break, I mean, I think he tackled the guy, got the ball off him, broke past the halfway line, and he'll obviously, fair play to him. He says, it was a cross, I think. And I say to him, Jack, come on. And I said to him, if it was a cross, who were you crossing to? And that was my answer to him, because there was no one anywhere near him.
Not even about 40 yards.
So I'm saying, Jack, take it all day. But that goal was, I was sitting in the stand. very much similar. I'm sitting there now. I had my arms in the back of the stand. I'm sitting there with a shirt and tie on, full suit, and my watch said to me, "Your heart rate's going to whatever." It come with an alert on my Apple Watch, and I'm like, I'm sitting doing nothing. Do you know what I mean? But the feeling of that game, and Stephen Day.
Aye.
I mean, Stephen Day definitely kept us in that game. There's no doubt about that. That being said, the boys, every one of them, I think you can still watch it on YouTube. Finlay Mackay throws himself at the ball and takes one to the chest. I mean, the ball, the noise off the ball was phenomenal.
Aye.
And then Stephen Day goes up and chests him 20 times harder than the ball. You're like, what's going on here? But I always felt as if it was going to be our day.
Aye.
Even in the morning, there was just that feeling that we were going to do something today. Never in the realms of possibility did I think we were going to beat them in normal time, to be fair. But I thought, we've got a chance. And of course you've got a chance. It's 11v11 and any football team's got a chance.
Mm-hmm.
And credit to them, their supporters clapped our players off the park, and every supporter that was in the stand came up and shook our hands and said to us, congratulations and best of luck. And then my phone exploded. But
I fucking bet it did. Aye.
I literally exploded for people I'd played football with 20 years ago to people I hadn't spoke to for 10 years, and I got a phone call from the Scottish Junior Football Association who said thanks for knocking out the best team in the cup. Thanks for knocking out our cup holders usually, because obviously it's all about they need to get as much money as possible. And say that they got the final. The final's just passed.
Aye.
Johnson Borough against Trinent.
It's the junior game's definitely on the rise again.
I think football in Murray as a whole, in my opinion, you guys as well, Bishop Mill, Elgin City Ladies, I think football as a whole in Murray is on the way up. New Elgin, you've got Hulk down at New Elgin. He's trying to raise his game as well down there, which is great. You've got Forest Thistle, they've got a younger committee in now, and they're trying to raise their game a bit.
Yeah.
I think everybody in Murray, I think COVID probably had quite a negative impact.
It did, yeah, and it's not that it put us back; it just kept us still for a few years, because football before COVID was on the rise in Murray.
Right, okay.
And I'm not saying at the rate it's at in the success of teams, but certainly from, we've always been seen as too big for one area and too small for another, or we're not considered the size of an Aberdeen or an Inverness or something like that. We're just this little bit in the middle. It doesn't really fucking matter.
See, but I think the opposite.
I think opinions are changing.
I think the opposite. I think it's a fantastic area to develop.
I do as well. That's my opinion. But I think
I think you're far enough away from Inverness and Aberdeen to soak up these guys that aren't willing to travel the distances.
I agree with that.
The kids that need to develop and should be developing locally, they shouldn't be travelling 3 hours in a car on a Saturday to play a game of football.
No.
That's horrendous. And we were a bit spoilt in the Central Belt because everything that we were doing was half-hour journeys. I mean, the most we were probably aired to Port Glasgow maybe was an hour.
Aye.
So you're talking about an hour, and then you come up here, and then I'm taking an under-18 squad to Wick, and you're saying that it's not right.
Aye, for
they shouldn't be doing that. But I think it's a great opportunity for football in Murray. As long as the money doesn't matter to the player, then why would you go to Murray to play football? You've got Elgin City, which are at a phenomenal level now, and going for promotion and hopefully get promotion next year. And you've got the women's game, which is vastly improving in Murray as well, and the junior football's improving. And great, we've got an amateur team now, and I think the amateur game will have a knock-on effect, and the amateur game will improve, and it's great to see because it's all happening. Lossie's a bit of a anomaly, I would suggest, where you've got your youth, we've got our little kickers. I mean, it's magic to go down there on a Saturday at 9:30. That's really where I'm really proud of our club, where we have 3-year-olds kicking a ball about a park. Up to 8-year-olds, and then you've got Lossie Youth Development that take it from 8 up to the 18-year-olds, and then our amateur team, and hopefully amateur teams like Bishop Mill as well, and everybody feed off of that.
Yeah.
The guys that aren't maybe making it to Highland League at that time, but I think there's a massive opportunity in this area where your bigger clubs. I mean, I know Aberdeen used to do, I don't know if they still do, the training camps out at Bucky or whatever. I don't know.
I've not heard of them as much. I know Ross County used to do a lot of them as well, and I think that's another one that's kind of dying off.
Died off a bit. I thought it had, and that for me. I mean, there's some fantastic players come out of Murray when you watch. I mean, I do listen to all your podcasts, and when you listen to some of the players that have come out of Murray,
and you know, it continues to come out. Like if you look at the guys that are, I think a lot of young guys. You look at young Teesdale at Aberdeen just now.
He was down watching our game actually.
Was he?
I was down watching Loss United versus Bishop Mill.
I didn't realise that.
He was down watching it, and I says Scott was saying to him. So Scott was down. He's like, "Coming along to us next year." Just shake his head. But he was down.
You've got continuously, and then as you say, you talk about the women's game. I'll speak about my own women's team to the cows come home, but I think we've got an average age of about 20, 21 in that squad, you know, and that's gonna push on. What's the average age of Loss United? It must be young.
Well, I think Conor McKenzie's our oldest player. I think he'll shoot the boots off me if I get this wrong. I think he's about 32 or 33.
Yeah.
And then apart from that, you've got, I mean, our young player of the year choice is probably one of the hardest choices because everyone is
pretty much half
under 23. Do you know what I mean? You're saying to yourself, geez, who do you pick? Well, it's luckily enough it's no us that pick it. But the football is young in Murray, there's no doubt about it. And there's maybe no that kind of more experienced players kicking about. But I think that's a lot to do with COVID as well. We blame COVID for everything, don't we? It's horrendous. I complain when folk blame COVID, but you've had people that have had probably 3-4 years out of football. It's
true.
And the older generation, the guys that were maybe 28 or 30 at that point, they're now 34, 35, 36.
Yeah.
And they've not been playing football, and you've missed that. There's a massive gap.
It becomes a second thought for them, you know.
But there's also a gap in the younger generation as well, where you've got the players that were maybe under 14s that missed 4 years of football or 3 years of football, whatever it was. Then all of a sudden they're 17s and the game's passed them by.
Yeah.
They've lost it. So it's a difficult recovery, but I think it's magic to see. I mean, I love watching it. I'd watch 22 people kick a can about a car park. I really would.
Aye.
And any football I see in Murray is magic. I just love the fact that there's so much football going on round about our area. Loss is obviously a wee bit more important to me than others because it's our hometown, and I do consider it my hometown now. But it's magic. There's things happening in Murray, and I hope the bigger teams look around and say, actually, we need to help out here, or we can work with the Murray teams to get it. And it'll come.
Aye.
It'll come.
Aye.
It's just a matter of time, but it'll come with everybody developing and getting a bit better. And I mean, I'll talk about Loss United, but for us to go away and beat 2 of the top 4 of the Premier League this season makes people look round and think, and we're getting a lot of that, and you get a lot of conversations with other committees and stuff, which is magic to speak to them and say what you're doing is great.
Yeah,
and they do believe it, and there is a lot of great people involved in football around Murray as well, which is magic. Yourself, I speak to everybody, and I just want everybody to do well. Want us to do a little bit better than everybody else, to be fair.
That's the key. That's the key. Everyone doing well, but
everybody doing well is great.
Absolutely. So a sponsor. Got a sponsor.
About time.
Yeah, about time. Thank you to Chris Foote, Elgin City director, Elgin City women's team director, for sponsors for the season. You're going to be hearing Chris Foote a hell of a lot over the next year.
Yes, in the words of former guest Chris Saunderson, if it moves, Chris Foote can get it sponsored.
Yep. And this podcast is definitely moving in the right direction.
See, this is good advertisement right now.
So yeah, Chris is going to be coming to an episode as well.
Entering the sweepstakes of who's been in the studio on all podcasts that are produced in here.
Yeah, because it's a running one between
you,
myself, Dom,
Matty Slinger, Chris Saunderson. I know he kind of hosts 2 of them, but
Chris Foote.
Yeah.
So we're just kind of like let's just say, pimping ourselves out to podcasts. But yeah, Chris will be on to speak about Elgin City Women, Man City, unfortunately for Ryan.
Well,
but
it was looking like it was going to go horribly right, didn't it? But now it's kind of looking like it's going down.
To be fair to Chris, he's a Man City fan since like the 80s.
Yeah, so he's been at like York and the Paul Dickov playoff final and all that stuff.
Down in like the third division and stuff like that. So he's a proper Man City fan. So thank you to Chris for sponsoring us for the year. You'll be seeing his name all over our posts, all over our social media, hearing his name a lot in the podcast, but it's for a good reason, because he's helping us keep the lights on at the Lighthouse Podcast Studio. So I suppose we'll just kind of touch on it for 5 minutes. My Bishop Mill team played your amateur team last Friday. What a game, like. It was, had a wee bit of everything.
Jeez, well, the boy that scored the hat-trick, he was quite happy, was he?
Aye, Blake
Was it Blake?
He's a good wee player. We've just picked him up. I've just picked up a few lads for Lossie. I picked up Cameron Leal. He was...
I know Cameron, yeah.
And I picked up Jamie Main, our goalie, and Bailey Morris. That's the other one I've picked up from Lossie. But he says, my pal Blake's... And says, I get him doing fucking battling a hat trick. I was like, all right, he's all right.
There's a contract sitting there, pal.
But it was a game of two halves. Like,
it was crazy. It was. I thought, to be honest with you, I thought they had you in the ropes the first half.
So
I thought it was going to be a walk in the park for them in the second half. I think it was probably. I had a totally different second half. You seemed to turn the screw, and then all of a sudden it became 3-3, and you thought, where's this going? I actually thought these were going to win it in the last couple of minutes.
That's it. And I'm not pointing at any names because I'm good pals with Lossie United goalkeeper, but when he had a wee argument with someone, I thought, I was in it, my boys, I'm like, they've lost it, boys, they've lost it, get to them. They're arguing amongst each other, but no. And then penalty shootout. We've not got great luck in penalty shootouts, whereas you guys seem to hear them all the time.
Aye, this season. I'll give you this season. No, last season. Certainly in the playoff fight, when the playoff when we played Longside. Sorry, it wasn't a final. I think it was a semi-final. We played Longside and we had to beat them in penalties. And there was a Wednesday night we were out there, I think, or a Tuesday night.
Fucking awful penalties, isn't it?
I've never seen 4 penalties taken so badly, and I'm going to say that on record. I don't even care if the players hear it. Honestly, they were horrendous. I'm only kidding. No, they didn't play well. In hindsight, it probably benefited us because it was probably too early in the journey. Even 3 years, you think to yourself, that's been a bit quick to go up. We did have a 5-year plan to go up, and
you almost put yourself on a pedestal if you get there too early, don't you?
It's the sustainability of it. Yep. You'll see teams Dufton, I think, have done it. They yo-yoed up and down.
I've mentioned
Vale were very close to it this season, but managed to win the
I've mentioned this season about my own team Elgin. I felt Elgin had a great chance of promotion this season, but I think the sustainability of staying in that League One next season would have been very difficult, whereas I think we've had that little push for promotion, build a strong team. I think if we were to get promoted now, we're in a much better stead to stay in that league now.
I think there's a bit of it gives you a bit of an appetite for it.
Aye,
and I think
last
season, although it was disappointing, or you thought it was disappointing at the time, in hindsight you look back to it and you say, you know what, we probably weren't just there yet.
Aye.
We didn't. Whereas I feel in a much more stronger position now. Not just. And I'm not talking about playing staff here, I'm talking about committee, I'm talking about how the club's set up, how the club runs, I'm talking about how a match day happens in the club, the sponsorship, everything, the full shebang. I just think it was too early. And I'm grateful for that, because I would have hated to go up in 4th position.
Yeah.
I think it's not a great way to get promoted in 4th.
Yeah.
I mean, it's horrendous, to be honest with you. You can finish 4th and go up, and you can finish 3rd and stay down. It seems a bit crazy, but that's the way the way the league's set up. So I think if we'd have went up in 4th, I would have been a bit disappointed. I would have been disappointed if I wasn't sitting here with a league trophy either, because although we played our games pretty early and Longside still had a long way to go to win the league. Longside, who I believe are probably ourselves and Longside are 2 of the strongest teams in that league, to be honest with you anyway. So I think the way it's been mapped out, looking at the league at the end of the season, it's probably about right. But you couldn't put a cigarette paper between us and Longside. I mean, literally, we beat them down at our place, up there, drew with them up there. So head-to-heads wise, we beat them, but they've got a cracking committee and a fantastic. If you ever get the chance to go to Longside, if you're going to go and get a junior, go to a junior match, go to Longside.
Yeah.
Fantastic setup. There's so many teams in the Aberdeen that have got great setups, but Longside's one that's a wee bit closer. Maybe not closer to my heart, but I've got a bit of fondness for Longside because I got on very well with their committee.
Yeah.
But there is a few. I mean, it's great to. You get the benefit. The good thing about being a chairman, and this is a great thing about being the chairman, is you turn up to a football game and you don't have to train anybody, you don't have to pick a squad, you do not have to deal with any of that rubbish. You turn up and you get handed a beer or a juice or a coffee or a bovril, and you speak to guys and you learn the history of these clubs.
Aye.
And that for me is just magical.
Aye.
It's a great place to, if you're ever considering getting involved in a committee at a football club, go junior.
Aye.
And help the grassroots teams and or even amateur. It doesn't, and get yourself about other clubs, because the history of junior football all over Scotland, but especially in the northeast, is unbelievable. Yeah. It's really opened my eyes to. And go and support them. Go and support them all, whether it's New Elgin, whether it's Forest Thistle, whether it's Isle of Vale, who again are another fantastic setup, Isle of Vale, and they've done well to stay up this year.
I've got their dinner. I've got their manager playing for me. dinner.
I seen him the other night. Actually, we were up at Oogie. We were playing.
He was gutted not to be playing against us, but he's just signed for us. He's a Bishop Mill lad. Like, so
is he a Bishop Mill lad? Well, I was, as you know, I was speaking to you in the changing room, and I was trying to work out when the last time Bishop Mill had actually played Loss United. Did you find out?
I reckon about 20 years ago, like early.
I spoke to Ian about it last night, and I'm pretty sure he said it was a wee bit earlier than that. He says he thinks it was less than that, but he said that there was some crazy matches, like, and I said, was it bad?
Yeah, and it was a proper derby, like a proper derby.
Well, that's part of the reason. Well, obviously on my TikTok and that I'd said about the derby. I says this is a derby that was in Murray for a long time, and bringing back Bishop Mill's absolutely fantastic. I mean, you must be crazy being in charge of coaching a women's team and
I've no
chairman
time.
of an amateur team.
I've no time for it all. I've met it this many times, but if I wasn't as involved as I am, I'm a bit like you. If I've got to do something, I've got to put everything, the fucking nutsack and everything into it. Like,
definitely.
And that's my two passions. Is I've got my Bishop Mill team, I've got my ladies team.
Yeah.
And, you know, I feel bad from other teams. Like Celtic have not had a look in this season for me. Like, because
it's funny because obviously Scott's an Aberdeen fan and Kev's an Aberdeen fan, and they'll rip into me about Rangers and stuff, and I couldn't tell you who Rangers is playing from 1 week to the next.
Aye.
I don't consider myself a Rangers fan anymore, because although I was at the Old Firm game, which wasn't great, but I fell out of love with Rangers probably a long time ago, as in going to support them. I had a season ticket and everything, and I think it was when Alec McLeish took over, probably before you were born, was it?
No, 2001. no.
Just about. Aye, so at that time, Dick had just left. I think Alberts had left at the same time, and there was a lot of kind of thing of that going on, and I just kind of fell out of love with the kind of big game. I don't want to call it the big game because I don't find it, but you know what I mean.
Exactly what you mean, yeah.
And you start coming around junior clubs, or you start coming around more local clubs and that, and all of a sudden you can hear what the players are saying on the park. You can hear, you can hear what the boy that's came and watched his team for 60 years is getting the ref abuse and all that. Not that I condone that, but there's just something a bit probably romantic about it or something. I don't know, and it's a bit more raw, and it's a bit more I don't know, accessible. It's a lot more accessible. Football now, for me, at the highest level, is only accessible, especially down in England. The prices you see, some of they're charging for season tickets.
Yep.
I mean, that's not what football's about, surely.
No, football to me is the smell of mud and deep heat.
Aye.
You know,
we used to get liniment oil, it was called, and you used to rub it, and you smell that stuff. That smell reminds me of football all the time. But football's, I mean, local football's just magic, and I think there's something special about it and something more accessible about it. The fact that you can be in the pub with the player that you were watching scoring a hat trick on the Saturday night. You know what I mean? It's magic. No, it's a magic place to be.
And you'll be in agreement with me. I like the only thing stopping local football just now is pitch availability.
Yeah, aye, that's something that we are. So, as if a football team isn't enough, we're now created a sports and community charity in Lossiemouth that we're going to start pushing a bit more. And there's hopefully in the long term, there's plans to create better playing surfaces and more playing surfaces down at the parks if we get where we want to get to with the council and whatever else. And there's a lot of hoops to jump through to get that. But yeah, you're right, 100%. I mean, although saying that, there's a lot of times where you'll see the parks sitting empty.
Empty, I do,
so you do see them a lot. So we're lucky to have the amount of Astro parks that we have round about the area, but they are heavily booked, as you know.
I think also the accessibility that the kids have got these days puts them off just putting down a set of jumpers and playing a game of football because they think, oh, well, I need the goals and I need the corner flags and I need this.
We're picking up some goals that we've been gifted, actually. Then I'm toying with the idea of asking the council if we can put them out on the grass down at the bottom for them making like a 7-a-side pitch. For kids, and just we'll go and cut it and line it. Just for the sake of allowing kids, because we were the same, you just for the sake of you didn't have, you had one park in our area and we spent all our time using, as I said, trees or poles or whatever else's goals, and that was it. And then you just ran about and you done that. But as organised football goes, I mean, some of the parts are pretty empty in Lossie at times, so it would be good to see it more. Friday night football, I mean, the amateur game, I love Friday night football. We used to play Friday night football in over 35s down in Airdrie, which is magic. And that was your chance to kind of still play football over 35, do you know what I mean? So, but Friday night football's magic. And
it's big around here.
I mean, some of the crowds that our amateur team, they're not a kick in the backside off of what we're getting on a Saturday afternoon.
No, it's mad, isn't it?
And it's like, what's going on here? What's happening? You know what I mean? But it's great. And there seems to be more, I don't know, more support for, not more support, but there's a good bit of support for the amateur teams as well, which is fantastic.
That's it. I've counted 84 is my most at a Bishop Mill games.
Holy moly.
And I think that was our second or third game. And I thought, I'm like, this is a 10th of the crowd Elgin are getting on a Saturday, you know.
Aye.
And I'm a wee amateur team, but no, we've got our own ambitions. I'll get into that in another episode. We'll get back to the questions though. Okay, 2 questions, round about the same kind of thing, but I like to get this question into every podcast, but I have to specify it to Lossie United. So, who's the best player you've seen at Lossie United? You can give me a couple of names if you don't want to. If you feel like you're going to throw someone under the bus by name mentioning them. No.
Listen, the best quality player. There's differences in that question, I suppose. The most consistent player, as I've touched on before, I would suggest is Jack MacArthur. He's been the most consistent player probably for us over the course of the last 3 years. I think we've had Jack for 2.5 years, I think. Scott will probably correct me there. Jack MacArthur's just been a stick on. I think he's had one bad game. I remember him having one bad game and he came off raging. Properly raging. Jack's been phenomenal. As consistency goes, Alex Matchik, what a player.
Just got a great move to Huntly as well.
Absolutely blessed to be involved with that boy's development. Tatters, who we spoke about earlier. I know Tatters quite well. We do a bit of work with my own business for Elgin at times, and I know that Tatters and Cecil knew my dad very well. So speaking to him way back when we just started, I was trying to get him to give us players for the 18s, which was never going to happen.
No.
It was never going to happen. That was me being a bit naive or me just trying to my best. Anyway, as it turned out, Alex was coming away for the 18s, and for some reason he wasn't rated at that time, or they didn't see a future in Alex, and Tatters basically kind of threw him our way, and I made a donation to the youth for Alex. Personally, and because the club doesn't pay for players.
Aye.
It's something that as
Yeah.
a club we never have done. So I made a donation to get some money into the youth, because he'd been through the youth system at Elgin City, and I think that's only right,
Absolutely,
because
yeah.
the guys have spent time on him.
Happens at the highest level.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it should happen all the time. And so he came to us, and he was quite a raw character, if you like. Alex is very unique. I don't know how to put it any other ways. He's a unique lad, but an absolute gem of a lad as well. And football and ability wise, I don't think we've even scratched the surface with that player. I really do think that player will go. I coached football for a while, as I said, and I dealt with a lot of youth footballers, and I don't think I've ever seen a player with the ability that him at his age at the time when we got him, and as he's developed.
Yeah.
The last 3 years have been a phenomenal journey to watch him. I mean, he's an easy one to pick and say that he's the best player we've got. I think he was one of the best, certainly. I mean, Robert Scott, phenomenal striker. Conor McKenzie, I mean, what a player.
Yep.
I don't think I've ever seen him put a foot wrong. Do you know what I mean? You've got that boy, the boy. And then you look at, we've got Harvey Kane, who was obviously at Ross County. You've got Keenan, who was at Inverness. There's so many players. Ali B.
Yeah.
Phenomenal player. Unfortunately, his football career is over now. But thankfully he's coming into the coaching staff, which he's got a bit of Loss United at heart. So he played with Loss United when he was younger. Ali B again, a phenomenal player. Ben Cullen, phenomenal goal scorer. Christoph Grick, who we spoke about. What a centre half he's done, didn't he? I could name the whole squad. I really could. Alex, I would, if you were pushing me for a name, it's very close between Alex and Conor. Two totally different players. You've got a attacking midfielder, and you've got a centre half or centre mid. Sorry, but I mean the two of them, wonderful. Stephen Day, what a goalkeeper as well. Do you know what I mean? There's so many, but
I should come back to playing striker in the welfare league as well.
Apparently so. I don't know what that thought process is. They will be getting a bit of good ribbon about that on Friday night, I can assure you. He wanted to go and Stephen wanted to go and play amateur football for the close season, so it's more like we're very much like that as a club. It's very much about the players.
Absolutely.
And it's what they want to do. And we never stand in the way of a player doing anything. If we've got a player like Alex, for example, we were offered a lot more money for Alex than we got. But Alex chose to go to Huntly at that particular time.
Yeah.
And that was, we backed that. It was whatever the player wanted to do. Do you know what I mean? You can't stand in these people way. And I hope that he develops the way he can. I'm sure Coco will look after him.
Coco will look after him.
He does. I have had several conversations with him, and he's going to look after him, and I think we'll see great things for Alex.
Yeah.
And, but he'll always be. I mean, he's been quite upset over the last few weeks. I think the actual the kind of pennies dropping that he's actually going to be leaving. So so he's had a great time. I mean, a great character on and off the park. He's mental off the park. Absolutely mental, honestly. The boy is a nutcase. But he's just one of those guys. He's just a lovable character. Aye. And my wife's got a soft spot for him, so I'm quite glad he's away, actually. I thought it was going to end up getting a divorce.
Best it's played against Loss United in your time?
Do you know, this was a really hard one. And I'm sorry to say I've not got the guy's name. His name was, he plays for Longside, and Scott will kill me if I don't remember this guy's name. I think his name's Harry. I can't remember his second name for the life of me, but what a player. Aye, what a player. But then you can look at the players. There was an internationalist, or an under 21s internationalist that played for Auchinleck.
Left back. Yeah.
Phenomenal. I mean, absolutely.
Yeah.
You look at this guy going, what is he doing playing junior football? Do you know what I mean? You look at the kind of players, and then we had Nairn come down and play this. Nairn County come down and play this second season friendly. What was it, first season pre-season friendly we had, and we were meant to play their under-18s. So what happened was the under-18s and the first team were on the coach. The first team were meant to go and play Hopeman, and the under-18s were meant to come and play us at our park. And the bus turned up, and Nairn County were on the bus out of our park. And this was first season, pre-season friendly. We didn't even have a squad together. And they beat us 10-0. I think it was 10-0. And Highland Striker of the Year was on the park. You'll probably know these names.
Connor Gaffins.
That's it, aye.
Connor Gaffins,
And
former guest on the show.
He was unbelievable.
Yep.
Aye, unbelievable. I mean, I felt a bit. I was a bit annoyed that day, shall we say, at the least, that Nairn County's full team just turned up and played a junior team that was the first year back, which I was extremely disappointed about. And they made a big deal out on the social media, but it was that was a bit of a killer because we were meant to play their under-18s and ended up playing their first team. But apparently they turned up in the under-18s. They hunted under-18s off the bus because they had a look at Hopeman's Park and went, we're not playing in that.
I don't blame them.
so nothing against Hopeman, because quite like Hopeman as well. And we've obviously got a bit of an in with Hopeman with Justine. Justine, our physio, her dad was chairman of Hopeman for a long time.
Yeah.
I've
got a good relationship with, well, I wouldn't say a good relationship, I've got a working relationship with Gary Barr, who plays and has a lot of the running to do with the Hopeman team just now, because Gary he ran the old Bishop Mill Villa, the old welfare Bishop Mill team.
Right,
existed before this one.
Yep.
So, and he's now running, and he's always very supportive of what we do. But yeah, the park's awful. It's awful.
I've not been to Hopeman for a long time. We did have a deal. Season 2, I think it was. We had a deal where we would put some players down to Hopeman to try and get them some game time and a bit of adult football and stuff. So I went down and watched a game a long time ago, but I didn't pay much attention to the condition of the park. I know that our amateur teams said they went down and played, and they said the park was pretty poor, pretty dry, like.
Yeah, it's dry and a bit bumpy.
Bumpy. Aye. But then it's a community park as
That's
well,
it.
isn't it?
That's it. Yeah,
it's what you're playing on. So unfortunately, both teams have got to play on it. So
this is it.
Suck it up, as they say.
And you know, when you're a team that have got a park like that, and you can get used to playing on a park like that. That's a 12th man that for you.
Definitely.
You know,
there's a lot. I mean, our park's lovely and nice, like a billiard table. But when you go in for our park and then go to one of the other junior teams at parks maybe is in great condition, then all of a sudden, as you say, you're not playing your passing football anymore. You have to change and adapt. And that can be very, very difficult at times. But
it becomes a physical game rather than a passing game.
We're hoping that obviously we've stepped up now, so things will be a bit more kind of on a level playing field, if you like.
Absolutely. Talking of stepping up, what's your ambitions as a club? Just take it as it comes.
Listen, we're a junior football club, whatever that means next season, because I don't know if you're aware that there's talk of the not being the North Region Junior Football Association anymore, and it's going to be changing.
Just a whole.
Aye, so they're going to an autonomous league, very much like the West of Scotland have done. Well, if the members agree. So
there's been word of this for a while, isn't there?
Yeah, aye. There's been a lot of talk about this previously. I'm involved with the committee actually because I've got nothing else to do with my time than the junior committee.
That's what happens. You get involved in these things.
They asked me to join the committee, which, to be fair, I get told I wasn't going to be doing much, but that turns out not to be the case. But anyway, it's good to be involved at that level because at least you get a little insight into what's going on with other junior clubs as well and stuff. So there has been a discussion ongoing for a long time about going autonomous. All the other leagues went autonomous. I think the only ones that are left now is the East and the North region that are actually Scottish Junior Football Association leagues. So I don't know how that fares for the future of junior football, if you want to call it. It'll always be called junior football, but the Scottish Junior Cup will be probably the only thing that involves junior. Yeah. And even that has got invitation clubs in now as well. So I think that's been kind of diluted a little bit, which is a shame for the game, because I think juniors is very historic. I mean, that Scottish Junior Cup, I think it's the second oldest trophy in the world.
Is that right?
Aye, I could be wrong there, but I'm pretty sure I've heard that before, that it's the second oldest competitive cup for football in the world. Wow. So it kind of shows you how far the junior games came for there.
And a lot of your teams that are in the Scottish leagues now were junior clubs back in the day.
Yeah.
You know,
Aye, there's a lot, and a hell of a lot of players come through junior and then come back down through junior on the way down as well. I mean, if you look at the cup final, what's his name playing for Johnson Borough?
Lafferty.
Aye, Lafferty. Yeah, you look at Lafferty playing for Johnson Borough. I'm sure he's not playing for peanuts, mind you, but
No,
I'm sure he's getting plenty of money. But
and I think that'll just maybe point out the fact that maybe Alex 10 minutes ago says they don't play players and they don't pay for players. And you've got like a Kyle Lafferty playing down
Yeah.
there. It
Yeah,
shows probably the difference in the
there's
levels.
there's a huge difference. Believe me, when you get down to the Central Scotland stuff, there's players that should be playing Premier League clubs that are playing junior football.
Aye.
And whether that's down to the fact that they don't want to commit to what's expected of you as a Premier League club, or the money that they've got, they're quite comfortable with what the situation is, or they just want to play with their mates or whatever it may be. But it's a different level.
Yeah.
It's an absolutely different level. It's difficult up here to compete with the guys down there, and I think that's what made the Auchinleck game so special. I mean, I've heard talks it's been the biggest upset in junior football history ever.
Yep.
People say, I hope it is, and and I hope it stays that way for a hell of a long time. But the reaction to that, and the guys, I'm sure they get paid. Well, I know they get paid, so they already get more than our players, but I'm sure they get paid a hell of a lot. A lot of money, so that made it a little bit sweeter, if you like, as well. But no, I mean, the junior game, I don't know how that's going to progress, but certainly for us as a club, to win the Premier League would be phenomenal. I mean, that would be absolutely blow your mind stuff. I know there is quite a feeling around here which I'm kind of alienated from because I'm not from here.
Yep.
Where the Aberdeen teams all think they're brilliant and we're all rubbish and whatever else, and all this carry on, poor wee us for Murray, which I kind of hate. I think just man up, know what I mean, and just go on with it. And I know these teams are playing money for their players and they're paying wages for their players, which is great, which is fine if that's what they're doing. We're never going to be able to do that. That's not going to happen. As Lossie United, we're never. If we get to that stage, then I probably won't be chairman any longer because we need somebody in there with a stack of cash that's going to do that kind of stuff. And if there's one out there, feel free to put your ring in the, put your hat in the ring.
For £5 a month, you can.
But feel free. Honestly, I would love a multi-billionaire. In fact, the one I met, Liverpool billionaire.
Aye,
he wasn't keen on buying Lossiemouth United. But anyway, So I think just to play the best football we can and hopefully make the town proud of who we are. We have no aspirations for Highland League. No interest in Highland League.
Aye.
Highland League again is another level, and we've got a Highland League team on our doorstep.
Aye.
Why would we want to be Highland League? Do you know what I mean? It's crazy. The two Highland League teams in the one town.
Aye, no offence to Lossie, but I don't think it's big enough for two Highland League teams in the one
not
town.
At all.
Like.
No, not at all. And do you know what? That's their department, and fingers crossed they can get things moving a bit better this coming season. Managed to stay up, which is great. So, and they've helped us a great deal. We've helped them and they've helped us, so we've got a kind of good relationship going there.
Yeah.
For that side of things, but aspirations for us is to be the best we can be. I would have liked to win the Elginshire Cup. I think Scott had that pretty much. He really was keen on that.
The thing is, you've got your name on that cup as well.
Yeah, I know, don't even. I had to go to the final anyway. No, do you know what? It's fair play to Elgin. New Elgin, the best team won that day. And Dean scored a cracking overhead kick, and then I can't even remember who scored the second goal. Apologies for that. But they were the better team. Yeah. I don't know, and I'm not using this as an excuse. I don't know whether it was the occasion or they knew they were getting the trophy at the end of the. We had 8 injuries at the time. We were struggling. I mean, we were lucky. The last 3 seasons, the first 2 seasons, we didn't have hardly any injuries.
Aye.
And then we seem to get battered with them for
what happens. The end. Through phases, don't you?
Aye. The end of season 3. I mean, we've got 4 people with ACL injuries. Have you ever heard that? I never heard an ACL before, about 5 or 6 years ago.
It's Astros, mate. It's Astros.
You think so?
I think so, right?
Well, 2 of them happened on grass, so I don't know if you can blame that.
I think there's
training.
studies being done on the amount of training done on Astro, the impact of ACLs, and they're actually doing the studies on women because they reckon they're a lot more affected by it.
All right, okay.
And you've looked at the women's professional game in the last 10 years, the amount of ACL injuries, it's phenomenal. Like,
There is a lot of ACL injuries up, but I remember back in the day when Beckham done his metatarsal, and everybody seemed to break their metatarsal. In fact, I broke my metatarsal when I was playing football, and I'm like, I didn't even know I had a metatarsal. Didn't know what a metatarsal is. No, I've broke your foot. I've broke my foot. Right, okay, that's fine. But it's crazy the amount of ACL injuries there is. There seems to be a lot of more muscular injuries or tendon injuries now than there ever has been.
It used to be like you never hear a hamstring injury these days. Like, how many people do their hamstrings? Hardly anyone.
Very rarely. I think that's education. I think that's education and guys looking after themselves a bit better. I mean, football now, the guys are phenomenal. Our guys are so fit.
Yeah.
And they eat the right things and they drink the right things, and for us, when I was younger, we didn't do any of that. I didn't know what an electrolyte was.
Aye.
I thought you'd have put it in a circuit board or something. You know what I mean? I wouldn't have had a clue what an electrolyte was. And you genuinely didn't. And your warm up was kicking a ball about, and then you were in. Do you know what I mean? There was no static and dynamic stretching and all this carry on that they all talk about now, and all that kind of stuff. The good stuff that they're doing now, which is great. But there has been, there is a more professional approach to probably most football levels just now, which is fantastic. And hopefully it's not as big as you say. The ACL injuries have been crazy, but anyway, I digress. Sorry. So, ambitions of the club. We just want to play at the highest level we possibly can. We want to attract the best players we possibly can, and we want to improve football in Lossie and Murray. Yeah, really, that's really where we are. We're a very much community club. I mean, the plans for the club are pretty big, and I'm sure you'll see it happening over the course of the next 5-10 years. Where the club wants to grow and wants to grow the community side of it as well, and all that community football. I feel there's too much of that missing in the game, community football now. There's not enough kids playing football, and they're very focused on the kids that can play football as opposed to the kids that want to play football, and that's two totally different things. And for me, that's what our little kickers start to build up, our youth development we're building up, and it's about community football. It's about people that want to turn up and kick a ball about, get the opportunity to turn up and kick a ball about. I mean, it'd be magic. See anybody come down at 9:30 on a Saturday morning, go down to that park and see those little kids. Some of them couldn't kick a ball, and now they're running about dribbling a ball or whatever else. Some of them are running about with their hands at 3-year-old. I couldn't care less. It's just literally kids out. One of the dads said to me, which really made it hit home. I get quite emotional when I talk about the kids because I'm such a wimp, but he said to me, if yous weren't doing this, they'd be parked in front of the TV watching cartoons, and I would have been interacting with my children. And that for me was like, wow. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. As far as I'm concerned, I were doing a bit of coaching in football, but the little kickers coaches do a wonderful job, and that is a major part of the club, to grow that and grow the amateur and develop footballers, and hopefully get the footballers up to the Highland League game or higher. And maybe one day, just maybe one day, a Loss United player will pull in a Scotland jersey. And that would be magical for me. To sit and watch that would be great, but it's not all about that. It's about what we do in the community, and it's about what you can give back. And our club will give a lot back to the community and try our best to give a lot back to the community. I mean, we're heavily involved with charities. The Scottish Cot Death Trust, which is a charity that's quite close to our committee's heart. We also support Ladybird Group, which is a local charity as well. And there is one other, which the name evades me just now, that John Todd's involved with. I think it's Aberlour or something, I can't remember, but one of them as well. But we try to kind of affiliate ourselves with local charities as well, and try and give back to that side of it as well, because if you can do a little for somebody, then it's great. And if you can do it through a sport that you love and you're enjoying it at the same time, how hard is it?
Yeah, even better, mate.
Yeah, so there's no major aspirations apart from to do the best we possibly can and build a great community asset for the whole community, not just the people that think they're going to be Pele or Messi or Ronaldo or whoever else maybe.
Bang on. What an answer, mate. What an answer. Okay. Right, go for a sponsor. We'll go for a sponsor read before
One of our
we get
sponsors? No.
Well, I suppose once if you're coming back in from this ad read, yeah, if anyone else does want to sponsor the podcast, please get in touch. I'm looking for sponsors for 2026 because I'm not saying I've got all my sponsors for this year, but he sponsored me for the year. So if you're enjoying listening to us, give us a follow on TikTok, YouTube, Apple, Facebook, Patreon if you're feeling generous. If you're trying watching us and you want to listen to us, get on the Patreon. We're also doing number 2 of, I'm trying to figure it out in my head, it'll be bonus episode number 9, but it'll be episode number 2 of the Football Journal's quiz this month, and you'll obviously only get that if you're on the Patreon.
And you could be like Mo, get 2 Patreon subscriptions, be extra generous.
Yep. He's generally going to kill me one day for all these times I've mentioned that.
I'm surprised he's not unsubscribed for one yet.
Yeah, they like I work with the man on a weekly basis, and I know how ferocious he is. I think I wouldn't take the piss. Like, it's, right, my next one. Chairman Life, TikTok. do you know what made it? I pissed myself laughing because you invited us back for, which we're very appreciative. You invited us back for food and things after the game last Friday. And one of my players was standing outside having his pint and a bit of pizza, and he goes, "Is that the boy for Chairman Life?"
I went for so when I first came to Lossie, I went for being Emma's husband because Emma used to run the steamboat. So I was Emma's husband, and then I moved on to be Sadie's dad, which was, I don't know if it was a promotion or not. And then the garage door money, because for anyone that doesn't know, I own a garage door company. To there's the guy off TikTok or Chairman's Life. It was a bit of a. It was a muck about to begin with. TikTok, obviously, I'm far too old for all this kind of stuff.
Don't worry, so man.
It was. I mean, I'm literally just scratching the surface. I don't have a clue what I'm doing. I'm absolutely winging it.
I just wing it, fake it till you make it.
I started doing it, and then I stopped. And Will Mackay, Groundsman of the Year. He's on this podcast very soon, I think.
Sounds it, yep.
He said to me, "That's brilliant, you should keep doing that." And I said, "Why does anybody want to listen to me talking absolute rubbish about football?" And he went, "I'm telling you, keep doing it." And I probably got lucky because the Auchinleck game, I keep getting back to the Auchinleck game, but the Auchinleck game, my phone just exploded, and the videos that I put on TikTok went absolutely mental.
Yep.
Not viral, but mental for me.
Yep.
Now, far from viral. If I look at my phone, I'll just check it now, and I'll tell you, I'll keep the volume down, or some rude TikTok will come on just directly. If you look at my most popular one, I don't know if you've seen the Ring Doorbell one with Ryan Higgins.
Yes.
I mean, that was literally crazy. My little girl actually runs around and goes, "Best team in the North East, come on." She keeps doing all this kind of stuff. But 48,000 or 48,500, 57,500 people watching our bus journey back from Auchinleck.
Madness.
46,000 people watching Finlay Mackay singing on a bus. Which I like to call the real Mackay, by the way, because Innes isn't very happy about it, to be fair. Talking about you, Les, 63,800 people. And you think to yourself, why is people watching this rubbish? I don't know why they are. But listen, I do it, and I probably do it more for myself than I do it for anybody that actually likes it or follows it, because, and I do it for the other junior clubs probably as well, and I like to film where we are, and I like to people give a little insight to what Loss United is about, but also what other junior football clubs and amateur football clubs are about as well, and maybe put the North East a wee bit in the spotlight. Some people will watch it because they like me, some people watch it because they think it's funny, I would imagine. Some people watch it because they think it's shite. I don't know. And you get the odd comment, I've been lucky. I don't get a lot of people giving me grief. I think I'd once said that I should walk a lot further from my car than I walked because I'm carrying a little bit of timber. I don't know if you've noticed. Which I find quite hilarious, to be fair. I find it highly amusing that people think that they're going to upset my feelings by putting a comment on a social media site, which I find highly amusing. But so there's a lot of that. I mean, I do watch a lot of TikTok, probably far too much, to be honest with you. And I look at these people that are TikTok superstars, for wanting a better word. I think to myself, is this what the world's capable kind of thing? Doesn't seem to be much. There's not much context to it.
There's no substance to it.
There's not
fucking nothing. It's dancing.
Somebody's dancing in their kitchen and you think, what you're saying? Don't get me wrong, it's a good way of winding down, I suppose. But no, the Chairman's Life thing was definitely that they kind of pushed that on a bit, saying, like, keep doing it. And I thought to myself, you know what? We do quite a bit of stuff about branding for the club.
Aye.
That's very much. I don't know if you know Joe Lasley. Do you know Joe Lasley? Used to coach the under-18s.
I actually do. This is weird, right? My dad knows Joe Lasley quite well. My dad's a plumber and used to do a lot of work for Joe Lasley, and Joe's brother is obviously Keith, who's at Motherwell and things like that. St Mirren. He was a player at the time at Motherwell. But yeah, I do know of Joe Lasley. I don't know him personally, but I know of him.
So Joe, there's a photograph of Scott and Kev re-signing their contracts for management, and it's inside the school and they're wearing their willy hats with their Loss United badge. They've got a jacket with a Loss United badge on it. There's a thing at the back of them with 2 Loss United badges on it, and then there's 2 bits of paper in front of them with a Loss United badge on it. And Joe said to me, can you fit any more badges in that photograph? And the joke goes, I always say to Joe, I'm building the brand, mate. I'm building the brand. and Joe's from Central Belt as well, like me. And he always, every time I say it, you're still building the brand, still building the brand, Joe, still building the brand. And that's very much probably part of the TikTok kind of thing, was to kind of put Loss United in the spotlight a little bit and say, listen, if you're kicking about, come down to the game.
Aye.
But obviously, you'll see I do it with every game I go to.
Yep.
Cup final, Elgin versus Devonside. If you're about, come down. 3 o'clock gig or 2 o'clock gig or whatever it is, and try and get people down to the game. Amateur game, the same.
Yep.
Bishop Mill, first time I've played Bishop Mill in don't know how many years. Get yourself down to the parks to watch a game. And it's just try to get people more involved in the football in the area. It's amazing. It always amazes me. I don't know how Facebook works, and you guys will probably know a lot better than I do. We are very heavily social media present as a club. We're very lucky to have 2 guys looking after our social media that do a fantastic job.
Yeah.
And they promote our club extremely well. And it still amazes me the amount of people that I can bump into in the town that don't know we're playing a game on a Saturday at 2 o'clock when there's been 18 posts about it in the last week.
It's crazy, isn't it?
I don't know how it works. I don't know whether we're doing something wrong or they're not looking at the right things or whatever it is. But you think to yourself, how do you know what I mean? How do you get yourself at the forefront? And TikTok's probably just another way of us getting, or me getting the TikTok with the club. Used to be a wee bit edgy. It's not so edgy anymore, thankfully. But one of the guys that used to run it, when we were losing, was still taking the mick out of other teams. Do you know what I mean? But it was good fun. Yeah. It was all a good jest. You know what I mean? If you look back at the Loss United TikTok, if you go to the Loss United TikTok's page and look back at the first ones with Burkhead, for example, and stuff, where they're playing the Burkhead or whatever, and you see the biting that happens on it, which is quite a good laugh to me. But I try to be a bit not so much one-sided on it, and just try to be a bit more honest about what we're doing. Honest about what we're doing as a club, and honest about the football, and just try and give everybody a little insight into the clubs. And every club I go to, thankfully, nobody's ever said they're not allowed to film and do stuff, and we film their hospitality, and I film the game, and maybe a little bit an entrance walking in, and what the place looks like, and that, and different things. And it just gives everybody, maybe, I don't know. Then listen, if one more person goes and watches junior football because of it, then good. Yeah, but it's just a bit of a laugh, really. It's a bit of a laugh. And it gives me something to do when they're doing the team talk, the warm up, and everything else. You know what I mean? Apart from drinking beer,
it's good crack. Like, it's good crack, and as you say, it puts a spotlight. I started up this podcast. I just started it because I just wanted to chat about football, but a lot of people said to me, "Oh, you put a bit of a spotlight on certain clubs or part of them." And I'm like, well, if I've helped do that, then great.
It's fantastic, eh?
Then great. Then
I've learned a lot more about North East football listening to your podcast than I do. And you know, it's great to get in the car. We do a lot of work, and sometimes we'll go to Barn for Inverness or Drumna Rock or whatever it may be. We'll get in and I'll stick a podcast on. There's an hour podcast on there, and you go, right, I'll listen to that for the next hour, rather than listening to Radio 2 or whatever else we listen to. And you gets you a little insight into what football.
Learn a lot. You learn a lot. I've learned so much for just speaking to people on this, but I learned a lot. Even speaking to yourself tonight, how would we have found out your first about Bucky Thistle and things like that? You know, you find out all these little things, and that's what makes football so unique. Everyone's got their own journey, everyone's got their own experience, and it's about, you know, enjoying those experiences and sharing them with other people. Right, I'm aware we're getting through the episode, so I'm gonna round off the questions with where we're at. We'll get into 11, and then I'll finish off with my final question. So, what would you say, about 3.5 years you've been involved with the club now? 4 years?
Loss United?
Yeah.
That's 3 years, aye.
3 years.
It's just over 3 years, aye.
What's your proudest achievement in that 3 years?
It's got to be that league trophy sitting there on the table, isn't it? It's got to be that wonderful thing that has spent a lot of time on my windowsill in my house, I can assure you, for everybody to see. I've not slept with it yet. I think Scott slept with it the first night. I do believe there was we get presented the trophy, and it was quite a wild night, to be honest.
Aye.
I'm sure you've probably
seen some things, that trophy, is it?
It has, aye. It probably doesn't smell that great, to be honest with you, and probably doesn't taste any better. It was passed through a hell of a lot of people in the pub, but we got back to our social club and we had a bit of a wild night, and me and Scott ended up sitting in the corner, and the trophy was sitting in front of the two of us, much like we're sitting here now, and the trophy was sitting in front of the two of us, and I had instigated that I was taking the trophy back home the week before we presented it. I said, nobody's taking that trophy home, I'm taking the trophy home, I'm going home with the trophy first. Me and Scott were kind of arguing about it, just jokingly, and we're sitting there and he's looking at that, and he's talking to me, and I said, you know, and I do mean this, he's 26-year-old, and he was a decent footballer.
Aye.
For everybody you speak to, and sometimes you see him in training, he's still got a wee touch on him, and he still jumps in and whatever else, and he's obviously can't play anymore. But I turn around and says to him, that's a bigger achievement as a manager than it is as a player. And I don't want to take that off any of the players, but to get 11 people in that park every week to achieve that is phenomenal.
Yep.
And I've never been blessed enough to win a trophy as a manager. I did as a player in the Air Force, but not as a manager. Sorry, I did. We won the league with the under-18s. But anyway, but that aside, it was a poor league. It wasn't as good as this league. But to win that, it was just phenomenal. And I think that stands for more than a league trophy for us. That stands for all the work that's been done in the last 3 years. That's a definite a statement of where we are as a club and where we came. That's probably, without a shadow of a doubt, and everybody will say, oh, what about Auchinleck and everything else, and I get that, but winning a league trophy and being the best in your league is just phenomenal. It's been, and it was a competitive league this year. Don't let anybody kid you. It was a hard league to play in this year, because a lot of teams have raised their game, and the first year we were in that league, it was nowhere near as good as it is now.
Aye.
And it's a phenomenal league, and that's definitely the biggest achievement I could say we've had so far, without a shadow of a doubt. Closely followed by the Auchinleck win, obviously, but we never won a trophy that day. We certainly won a trophy this year.
Felt like he's won a trophy that day, though.
I was absolutely sharp that day. But it was magic, aye, it was magic.
1 to 11. Okay. 4-4-2. I like how you just went 4-4-2. Nothing else but 4-4-2.
None of this 3-5-2. Oh, this. I just find it's funny because we talk about TikTok. A TikTok come up. I'd picked my formation and I was starting to go through the players, and believe me, this is not an easy question.
It's not.
Anybody that does this, I thought, easy. Name 11 players that are the best players. No, it's impossible. Almost impossible. The players I've left out give me a sleepless night. If I was a manager.
It's mad, isn't it?
It's crazy. But a TikTok came up after I'd picked the formation and I was going through the team, and Arsene Wenger's talking about formations. And he said the most balanced formation in football was 4-4-2, because 60% of your players cover 60% of the park. So your 2 centre backs, your 2 midfielders, and your 2 attackers cover 60% of the park, and your 40%, which is left, cover 40% of the park.
Yeah.
And I'd never ever thought it that way. I'm sure you've been in coaching courses and everything before. I've sat down with a lot of people that are very good at football. When I went and done my B licence, for example, Tam McManus and Mark De Vries were doing their B licence with us. And a funny story, I got a striker movement.
With Mark De Vries.
Aye, and Tam McManus.
Oh, Jesus.
So I'm being told to tell these 2 boys what they're doing wrong. if anybody's got any experience of who these boys are, go look them up. Tam McManus played with Hibs, Mark De Vries, Hearts.
Built like a brick shithouse as
Oh,
well.
he's a monster. And I'm standing next to him, and I'm 5'8" on a good day. And he's standing, he must be 6'5", at least 6'5", And I'm standing looking at this guy, and I'm thinking, oh my God, I've got to tell this guy he's doing something wrong. And this guy's been a striker for years, do you know what I mean? Anyway, luckily enough, Tam had just signed for our junior club down the road at the time, which was Gurtcairn. I don't know if you've ever heard of Gurtcairn. No. We had a youth academy and then a junior team in Airdrie. So he had just signed for us at the time. So I had a personal like with him.
Yep.
So I had to go up to him and say, Tam, go ahead, do us a favour. Going to stand too close to the centre half when you've received the ball and don't push him off to make the mistake so I can go in and coach a mistake.
Aye.
I felt such a fraud that day, honestly. And Mark De Vries is just looking at me and I'm thinking, he's just thinking, and I wasn't as fat as I was then, I could actually run about a bit. And I'm just thinking, this is embarrassing, totally embarrassing. And Douglas Park, have you ever heard of Douglas Park? Aye. So he was doing coaching in Fleets as well. So it was Parky and Fleets, or Jack and Victor as they were called back in the day. We used to wind them up about that, but they 2 were coaching and they were killing themselves laughing. Parky was just laughing his head off at me because Parky signed Tam McManus at Hibs.
Aye.
So, but doing that was just out of this world, eh? But you just, but anyway, I digress. Sorry, aye. So the 4-4-2, very much. The things you learn when you speak to these professionals is phenomenal.
Yeah.
And when Arsene had said that, I listened, he says, this is the best possible formation for football. And I've always liked playing in a 4-4-2. I never liked being, I was never a wing back, shall we say. I was reasonably fast, but I was never fit enough to be a wing back. But 4-4-2 was just a good balance for me, and I always coached 4-4-2 and we used to use it. And we weren't in the realms all use guys.
4-3-3 they teach these days.
Aye, it's a lot of 4-3. Well, when I done my B licence, they did move on to the 4-3-3 situation and about all that kind of the shape and everything, which is all well and good, but players are more athletic now. Your fullbacks in the olden days, your Peter Grants.
Just shows how it's changed. That's your standard. Your 4-3-3 is your standard on your C licence now, and then you go into your B, you've got your 3-5-2,
3-5-2, aye,
your 4-2-3-1, 4-4-2, and your
4-3-3 as well. Aye.
Yeah,
Aye. So
mad.
I mean, I credit anybody that goes and does that because it was hard work. I felt like a fraud in my B licence.
I've been feeling like a fraud in my C. I'm like, fucking hell, do I actually know this?
My C licence wasn't too bad, to be fair. I quite enjoyed my C licence, but my B licence was, I'd done the introduction and then I thought to myself, I'm not capable. I'm not capable of doing this, do you know what I mean? And work had got in the way a bit as well, and I didn't have the time to do what I had to do. And then one of our coaches was going for his A licence at the time, and I was like, holy. But that was a level above. I don't have that, the ability to do that kind of thing. When anybody does is magic. But no, a wee insight into like Arsene Wenger or anybody else. I read a lot of books on football. Inverting the Pyramid, I'm probably sure you've read that book in the past. A lot of stuff about tactics and that, because I'm quite ingrained in the kind of tactic side of things. I quite like the idea of that, and
What I liked about Invert the Pyramid book was how it went through the different countries.
Yeah. And what was
and how this bit of football came from this country and
where it's evolved from.
I'm fucking fascinated by all of that.
Like. It's phenomenal. We've done a lot of stuff when we were down Central Belt. You used to do a lot of CPD courses because it's very accessible down there compared to up here. And we had guys that were out in Norway and guys that were out here and there, and then they would come and give you ideas of what other countries were doing. And Norway was a big one at the time where they suggested that Scotland should be doing the same as the Norwegians should be doing, but I think Scottish football was way behind the times for a long time at that point, but we're starting to come up a bit again, so
we are
fingers crossed. Aye, so 4-4-2.
4-4-2. Right, I'll go through it and we'll pick out some names. Andy Gorham, Graham Lasso, Rio Ferdinand, Sergio Ramos, Cafu, Cristiano Ronaldo, Maradona, Graham Souness, Leo Messi, R9, Original Ronaldo, and Van Basten. Right, we've got to go with the goalie because he doesn't get a mention on here very often.
Does he not?
No.
Jeez.
I think a lot of the Rangers fans I've had on, or maybe more, and McGregor gets a lot of shouts these days, but just because he's Shagger McGregor, you know, and if you're a modern Rangers fan that didn't release in the 90s, he's probably the next best thing. But
I'm sorry, Alan, if you watch the podcast, but
he's not even a patch on.
Couldn't even lace his boots.
Not even a patch on him.
Couldn't even lace his boots.
In my personal opinion, you've got Gorham, then you've got Kloss before McGregor.
Oh, well, there is the Govan Lighthouse as well, to be fair, that's way before your time, that his name evades me now, you know, the Rangers fans will be shouting down the line. There was some great goalkeepers that Rangers had. Rangers had a very stable environment with goalkeepers for a long time, and Celtic struggled. I remember back in the day when Paddy left Hughes.
Yep, we went through a stage of Gordon Marshall,
extremely difficult stage
Stuart
with
Kerr
goalkeepers, and we were very lucky to have a really stable environment there. I mean, Andy Gorham, I don't think you could pick about. I was very close to Neuer because Neuer's a different type of keeper, though, very much your sweeper keeper role that he would come out. But Andy Gorham for me, phenomenal. I mean, literally outstood. Andy Gorham won Rangers Football Club leagues. I don't care what anybody says. Andy Gorham for me was a phenomenal. I'd luckily enough to meet Andy Gorham several times and play with him. I went through a wee stage where I played quite a few charity matches and stuff like that, and the old firm legend matches and stuff where I get invited to play some stuff because I was kind of heavily involved with football coaching.
Yep.
And I played, remember it was Rangers versus Celtic. It was at the Shibury Excelsior Stadium, which is now called, I think, the Albert Bartlett Stadium, is it? Airdrie Stadium now?
Okay.
Ryan, you might know.
Albert Bartlett
It was a big experience for you.
Oh, sorry. I was
he was miles away. Was he miles away there?
Yeah, I've got like a call in 10 minutes, so I'm like...
Oh, sorry. So we played at Airdrie Stadium, and I was playing left centre back. We were playing 3-5-2. Never played left centre back in my life. So I was playing left of the centre three, and Marvin Andrews was in centre half, and Andy Gorham was in goal, and I had to mark Frank McAvenny. I know. Thankfully, it was a drunk, overweight, older Frank McAvenny, because I don't think I'd have done very well with the original one. So basically, a ball came in, and it was hit from distance, and I'd say 20-25 yards maybe, and I've threw my heel up and flicked the ball, and I've heard from behind me saying, for fuck's sake, as Andy Gorham landed in a heap in the direction that the ball was going. Thankfully the ball went wider. So I got the ball wider, and Andy Gorham said, big man. Now, I've never been called big man in my life. I'm far from big, fat maybe, but no big. And he says to me, if anybody hits a ball outside the box, I'll get it. And I thought, you fucking... And Marvin Andrews turned around and said to me, big man. And I'm like, aye, he's right, he'll get it. Just you leave it. And that's a terrible accent. Anyway, and that was it. And I thought to myself, holy shit. And Frank McAvenny had said to me, I was having a right laugh with him on the park, and he says to me, who the fuck do these boys think they are? He says, what? He says, that's the best goalie that Scotland's ever had, and they're trying to shoot for 25 yards. Do you know what I mean? So he's having a laugh on the park and stuff. But Andy Gorham is just phenomenal. A phenomenal player. I think probably the biggest one comes to the penalty save in the cup final. Was it a cup final or a cup game against? Was it a semi-final against Celtic?
Yeah, and he was a one-man show that day as well.
He was phenomenal that day. I mean, I think there was 4 or 5.
There's one Lambert's hit as well. I always remember one Lambert hit, and it's pretty much it's in that top corner, and he's almost reached into the goal.
Yeah,
and he's taken it out again. And it's like everyone in that stadium thought that ball was in, apart from Gorham. You know, he knew it was
unbelievable, eh? And I've seen him at Ibrox strapped up to the nines. I mean, literally his legs strapped up. You couldn't even see his legs. Donuts in them and the kneecaps and everything. You say to yourself, and I remember a game against Juventus, Rangers playing Juventus at Ibrox, and we get beat 4-0. Ravanelli played that night.
Yeah.
What a player that player is. And Andy Gorham get taken off at half time because he punched one of the other Rangers players in the dressing room because he wasn't happy with what was happening in the defence. And you think yourself, holy shit, you wouldn't get away with that now, no, you wouldn't. But and he was screaming at his defence the whole time, and he kept it down in the first half to, I think it was 1 or 2-0 in the first half, and he kept it down to that because they had shots left, right and centre. And Ravanelli, for the people that remember Ravanelli, he was at Dundee. With the
Middlesbrough as well.
The Mafia that took over Dundee.
I remember that.
In fact, Slats played that as well. I think Mark Slater played in that team as well. Aye, Mark Slater was in that team, I'm sure, with Lee Mayer, one of my mates, Lee Mayer. But so for that, you were like, it was just unbelievable, and unbelievable for Scotland as well. It was just, it really wore his heart in his sleeve, and he was passionate about the club and about.
We spell at Man United as well for some strange reason. I mind that.
I spell Elgin City as well, didn't he?
I talked about that in the last one. One of my first memories for Elgin is seeing Andy Gorham. Right, I'm aware we're about 2.5 hours into this podcast, so I'm just going to pick on a couple of names for wrap up. Graham Souness.
What can you say?
Animal.
An animal, an absolute animal. But
do you know the back pass rule was changed because of him?
Is that right? Is that right? Aye, because he encouraged it.
Because there's a game they're playing Dynamo Moscow.
That's right.
And he's hit a 70-yard back pass because they've just got to kill off the game.
Aye, kill off the game. Aye, that's right. Aye, I do remember that actually.
That is invented because of him.
Jesus, there you go. I mean, the man, I've been lucky enough to speak to him one-on-one a couple of times. He was up here actually. He was up at Elgin City when he had it. And David Guidi, one of our sponsors, Guidi doing it at 1629, he paid for him to come up and had a night with him, and we got the chance to have a chat with him and stuff. And the guy knows loads about football. I mean, loads about football, but very much an old-fashioned type of footballer, but so committed. And I think what he done for Rangers off the park as well was phenomenal.
He pushed
Rangers into the 21st century or the 20th century, which was required done. And he's honestly just a phenomenal player, though. A phenomenal midfielder.
People go on about like he hated Celtic and all that. You think this is the first man to sign a Catholic for that club and was determined that he was going to be the man.
There is a bit of a grey area about that, to be fair, but I think the Rangers and Celtic players used to go out and drink together in the days, and the fans were fighting themselves. It was a bit crazy, like, but but no, some player, he's phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal.
Not had to mention in about probably 2 years, Van Basten. We're speaking about him just before he came on.
Oh, unbelievable.
Do you reckon he played to 35? You'd probably talking Maradona levels. We'd be speaking about him.
Oh, I think he missed. Because he retired so early. But again, you can check the stats. But I'm pretty sure he scored. I think he almost scored a goal a game when he played for Ajax. I'm sure it was a goal a game or something like that. And then Milan as well. He was phenomenal. I think he scored about 100 goals for Milan. But the guy was just a finisher.
Triple World Player of the Year or something. It was like three years running he won it.
Oh, it was phenomenal.
Yeah.
Phenomenal. We used to have a computer called an Amiga. You probably don't remember this either. We used to get a game called Kickoff. And I used to go to AC Milan all the time, and just every time the ball came, it's finished, it was done. But no, to watch him play, just I wasn't lucky enough to see him in person. But to see him on TV, as you go and look at videos of him, his finishing's phenomenal.
Yeah.
He's finishing. I mean, his ratio shot to to completion must be phenomenal. Aye, one of the best strikers in the world. I think
there's not people, there's no grey area. Everyone thought that's a fucking brilliant player. Nobody thought he was all right.
No. And I had a bit of soft spot for AC Milan because of that as well. Because he was such a good player. They were such a great team back then, though. Do you know what I mean?
That defence on top of Hewlett and Rijkaard.
Exactly. Hewlett, well,
top
but
notch.
aye, phenomenal.
Oh well, thank you very much for the
Sorry
last
to take up so much of your time.
You do not worry, mate. Do not worry. When you've got a trophy in the building, it deserves a wee bit of time.
Yeah. No, thank you very much, and really nice to be
hope
on.
you enjoy your night tomorrow night. I'm sure there'll be a few sore heads on Saturday morning.
I'm hoping so. No, it'll be a good night.
And thank you for just revitalising a bit of life in a local football community, because you'll not see it. I start to see it. Like, chairmen get fucking a bad flack, but we're just as invested into this fucking football clubs as anyone else at that football club. You know, just because we might be seen as the fucker that doesn't do anything and just getting somebody else to do everything for them.
I wish I did do anything.
I'm the same. I wish I did now, but no, I can assure you, there's nobody really got their club made at heart than these people do. Always finish off in the same question, Alex. I'm very interested to hear this because there's so many avenues you could go with this one. There's a one penalty to save your life, and it needs scored. Who takes the penalty?
This one I've been a nightmare. This one's been an absolute nightmare because there's so many, as you say, to choose for. Going by records, it's got to be Letizia. It's got to be, and it's probably been mentioned more than once in this podcast. Yeah. I think he's only missed one penalty, has he? One, maybe two.
48 out of 49.
There you go. So he's the only person, stats wise, he's the only person you can choose.
98% pass rate. So
is that right?
98.
Why is he in the first team?
Aye, exactly.
Can't even make a first team. No, he's for me it's him. He's a phenomenal penalty taker.
Yeah.
I mean, free kick taker as well. Some of the free kicks he's took have been.
Some of the goals, just little flicks. And don't make players like that. As an Maverick.
Aye, good player, but it would have to be him, I'm afraid.
Brilliant, spot on, my man.
No, thank you very much. Thank you, and thanks for your time.
The Football Journals is now on Patreon. If you sign up on Patreon for just £5 a month, you can get access to our upcoming guests and the chance to ask your own questions, the ability to watch our podcast with full video exclusive, audio only on all other platforms. You can get your episodes earlier than anyone else, sometimes a few days, sometimes a week, but you will get your episodes earlier than everyone else. Chance to request guests of your choice. We will do them our utmost to get them on the show, if obviously within reason. I can't go asking Cristiano Ronaldo on the show. And one bonus episode per month. There's already a bonus episode on there. You'll get a further bonus episode every month. Sign up today at patreon.com/footballjournals, capital F, capital J. That's a sign up today at patreon.com/footballjournals, capital F, capital J.